What's up, everyone? If you guys can see me, just hang tight. We're getting the chat pulled up so I can be able to read what you guys are saying. I hope everyone is well, and I want to apologize for the delay. All right, so we had quite a few things go wrong. So, frankly, I just moved, guys. If you're on already, so I just moved, and I didn't move. I moved about an hour and something from the other place, and the internet isn't set up the way it needs to be. So finding out the internet was not set up the way it needs to be, I just didn't really have enough time to rush all the way back to the other home to try to get the internet set back up. So unfortunately, I had to get a cheap hotel, the first place I could get some internet, so we can give you guys this presentation. Just give me a moment. Let me get Facebook set up, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. All right. I see you guys starting to come on now, so. Okay, I got you, Josh. I got you, man. I hope everybody is well. Like I said, welcome on. Let's see here. Let me know when you get the, what's the name up. All right, I'm gonna talk to some Facebookers until we get the YouTube going on. So what's up, Raina? I see you. Be the change, not a bully. I like that, Frank. Call Netta. How you doing? Keep freezing unless the issue is on my end. Guys, let me know if I'm freezing still. I am using a hotel Wi-Fi. It's the closest thing I could find. I was try my best to still give you the show. If we can't do the show, I'm going to be hurt because I just paid for this hotel room and it is non-refundable. It told me before I got it, so it's a cheap hotel. Please try and bear with me, guys. I'm doing my best here. I moved, so the home I moved from is about an hour and something away from the other one, and the internet is just isn't set up the way it should be. So I got to the house assuming that the internet would be ready to rock and roll, and of course it wasn't. So postponed yesterday's show to today, thinking that everything would be right, and it unfortunately was not. So I did what I could do and went and purchased a room so we can try to get this going. So just let me know if I'm skipping and stuff on you guys. We'll try it, and if not, we'll have to just continue at another time. Seeing you guys, I'm saying it's freezing a little bit. Hello, Wakil. I see you watching. I am Tony. What's going on? Adrian, what's going on? New York, I see you. That'll be awesome, and thank you in advance, Adrian. Shaka Zulu, what's going on? Adrian said Mercury is in retrograde until April the 5th, so my internet at work is doing the same thing. Skipping and freezing, in and out. Guys, if this is not going to work properly, I am going to postpone this. I got young Pharoah and Larenzo ready to rock and roll, and I don't want this to be sloppy and waste their time and frankly waste yours with a lot of in and out sloppy video and audio. Peace, conscious peace, truth seeker, D Starks, David, what's going on? Shocking Shelly, Ladon, hello, Deontay Kurtz, Zaga Flame, what's going on? Tiffany Whitaker, Marco, Michael Gilbert, what's going on? Elder, Truth Seeker. Listen, guys, I'm hoping this is going to go. So we're going to continue as if it is. So let me just first say, if you do appreciate the information that you get and it is helping you, please feel free to donate. I really need you to do that now because I paid for this hotel room and that was rough. So we do whatever we can to bring you guys this information. I really hope that you guys see what we're willing to do to try to help you guys out and give you information that can help you guys. So again, I had put the information out. I made the flyers, everything. Asked Pharoah and Larenzo to take time out of their time to join. So I didn't want to put this off again. Okay, so okay, I see you guys saying you can hear me clearly now. So hopefully we can get this thing rocking. I won't try to put any video up. Obviously, I don't have a green screen behind me right now, but we're going to continue on as the best we can and get this thing going, okay? Thank you very much, young elder. That helps. For those of you that don't know, we actually use the funds for a good cause. We're not buying a jet. We're not buying a mansion, all right? Just so you guys know, we are trying to help people in the world. We all see there's a problem, and everyone on my show, everyone who donates to Be the Evolution is trying to be the change that they want to see. So we're becoming the part of the change. We are becoming part of the solution, not continuing to, further the problem by simply just talking to the sky about it, right? Or complaining to your friends even about it. We said, you know what? Let's take responsibility for the problem, whether or not we caused it, and let's be part of the change, right? So that's what our goal is. For those of you that don't know, keep your eyes open for April the 21st for an event with myself and Larenzo. Again, I've asked people who do spoken word, poetry, sing, anything like that. Make sure you inbox me, all right, so we can try to get you guys in there so you guys can showcase what you do. Do what you love to do. What's up, Rick Ross? I see you, brother. All right, so with no further ado, guys, we're going to get right into it, okay? We're talking about today, why is the Lamb of God slain in the zodiac of Aries? So we know that yesterday, of course, was Easter Sunday, or I like to call it Ish Stars Sunday, right? Or April Fools is the most recent name that we have given it, right? Or Easter Fools. But we know that Ish Stars Day or Easter, let's see, let me make sure we're straight. Okay, Easter is set on a day. That day rotates or changes every year based on the vernal equinox, right, or the moon. But we're going to talk about today, why is it that everyone is eating lamb, right? Why do we eat lamb on Easter? Why is the Lamb of God, Jesus, right, slain during the zodiac sign of Aries, which is the ram? Why was there a ram in the bush, right, to save the life of Isaac with Abraham? Why are you even called sheep, right? Why are you called a flock? Why is your pastor or your leader called a shepherd? Why all of these sheep terms, right? So we're going to get into that just a little bit. For those of you that don't know, the zodiac or the Bible, let me just say the Bible is viewed by many people as the Word of God, the inerrant Word of God. They view the character of Jesus as a real man who actually lived, did these miracles, and died, and then rose again 3 days later, right? Unless you know math, of course, because if you know math, dying on Friday and rising on Sunday is actually 2 days, not 3. But if you don't care about the math, he was dead for 3 days and then he rose again, right? Thank you very much, Adi Spencer. So when you're looking at this, you have this character of Jesus. Thank you. I think it's Kemal Hotel. Thank you very much. So when you look at this character, Jesus, seen as a real person by Christians and many other believers, there's 33 different sects of Christianity. So all of them may not believe quite the same things about the same one Bible, but they all have, I guess, similar beliefs, or at least their beliefs are founded in the same book, the same literature. However, they came up with 33,000 different ways to interpret that literature, and it's hard for me to even say that without a smile on my face, okay? But many of us understand the zodiac or the Bible as Jesus is not being the Son of God, S-O-N, but being the Son of God, S-U-N. And he's not moving about the earth finding disciples. He's not moving about the earth creating scenes, healing the blind, right? Raising the dead, walking on water. He's not doing these things. What we understand about the Bible is that it's the S-U-N of God moving about the heavens or the zodiac, right? This is how we understand him, that this character was not a person on earth, that he was in fact just the sun who was being mapped, and there were stories told about that sun to characterize what constellation the sun, S-U-N, was in, right? So let's just start it off. The Bible starts off, of course, with Gemini, the two twins, the Adam and Eve, which represents male and female energy. After that, you've got Jacob and Esau, okay, which are also twins, right? This list goes on. You got Cain and Abel. You have there's another set of twins, but you have twins that's going all the way through Genesis, right? All the way through until you get to the Taurus, okay? The Taurus of the bull, which the bull is yoked, right? The bull is yoked, which it plows the earth, right? It is yoked. So now here we start the slavery scriptures where Israelites are enslaved to Egypt, right? Thank you very much, Shocking Shelley, and thank you very much, Rick Ross. Where the Israelites are enslaved into Egypt, where they're forced now to work. They are within bondage. They are yoked, right? Now, during the time of Taurus, you have the time of Aries coming in behind Taurus. Now, if you're looking at the zodiac, I'm going in retrograde. Retrograde means to move backwards, not actually forward through precession. It's going retrograde, which is backwards. So we're going backwards through the zodiac, which is Gemini, Taurus, Aries, so forth and so on. We're going to stop with Aries, and we're going to explain to you guys exactly why the culture does the things that they do under the sun at this time per year. Okay, it's not necessarily a let's see here, Josh, if it's possible for you, can you send me the link to this video in Messenger, please? We're about to get Pharoah up and rocking. Larenzo, whenever you're ready, please let us know, brother. So anyway, it's about the zodiac, of course, moving through the constellations or the heavens or the zodiac, right? Hang on. Yes, the link to the YouTube video. Pharoah's going to share it. That's what it is. Hey guys, I'm going to pause for a minute so I don't go too far off course, just so we can get everything done right here technically so we can get the guys on. So I'll tell you what, while we are waiting or just getting everything in line for Pharoah and Larenzo to come on, let me just tell you guys again, or apologize again for those of you that's just now coming on. I said we have a lot more viewers than we had earlier, so let me just say apologize for the late start. It was supposed to start at 8. Unfortunately, my internet was not set up correctly at the new home I moved to. It was supposed to be done correctly yesterday. I postponed the show and it's not done today. So I had to rent a hotel to be able to give you guys this information. So I didn't want to let you guys down. But here we are nevertheless, and I want to make it worth your while. Thank you very much, Shirley. So the general consensus of the people that's watching, what do you guys feel about the Bible? Okay, just the people that's watching, just to know who we have watching. Do you believe the Bible is literal or figurative or, allegorical, they say, right? So I just like to know what you guys think. See here. The Bible is funny. It can't be stopped. Allegorical. Thank you very much, Nubian. You don't understand how much that helps. All right. Renee, what's up? Birdman said it's BS. The Bible, I feel the Bible is both literal and allegorical. Okay. Now, awakened culture. I'd like to understand. I'd like to know if you feel it's literal and allegorical. Do you think the literal part is true, factual? Okay. Because it could be meant to be literal, but it doesn't make it real, right? So someone says not real, it's allegorical, figurative. I always felt it was a fairy tale. Let's see here. Terry says it's allegorical for sure. Lana says the stories told are in an allegorical sense. It plagiarized, allegory. It seems that most people on right now they see the Bible as being, someone says coded. That was different, mind free. I don't believe in it, says Troy. So even if it's allegorical or literal, we don't believe in it, right? Doesn't change the facts. Never thought it was literal, even though I was pushed to believe it. Wow, that's powerful, Shirley. I definitely was consumed by belief at one point in my life. Allegorical, okay. Book of Stories. Same info in Egyptian theology, similar, absolutely. There are facts. There are facts, okay. So, okay, okay, I got you. You're saying there are facts in the Bible. Okay, awakened culture. What do you mean by that? Exactly like what? Because you can say the Bible has facts. Like, thank you very much, Sean Williams. The Bible has facts, but it doesn't make the Bible itself true because it may say things that are true, right? So, because all religious books have things that would be considered true in them, but it doesn't make the book that they wrote or the whole book true in its entirety, right? Because a book has some truth. I don't know if I thanked you, Sean, but if I didn't, thanks again. I don't believe a single word that's in it, says Zandia. Nothing new under the sun. Okay, that is definitely true, Awakened Culture. I agree with you on that. Coated with Gamaria and, okay, among other things, absolutely. I ain't hanging this Pharoah. 1 second, guys. What's going on, brother? You will get on through Skype and I'll bring you on. You have Skype? Oh, heck yeah. That way I can bring your photo and stuff up, your background. All right, cool. Yes, sir. Hey, Josh, if you don't mind, send me my Skype information, the name tag, so Pharoah can add me so he can come on. Tim Thomas said it's evil and demoralizing to women. I absolutely agree. That book couldn't be worse for anyone than it is for women. And I mean, this goes across the line to most religions. It seems like the women are at the bottom of the social scale, no matter what religion you're in. So that's the scary part. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we still working to get Pharoah. We're just trying to get the kinks worked out, guys. So I'm gonna read some more comments till we get going. I say the fact is raising consciousness. That's a fact. Got you, Rick. Young Elder says the history book for some newcomers, crafted for control. Absolutely. Like the places in the law, statutes, and the commandments. The history. Yep. Manila says that the Three Little Pigs has truth to it, right? Cannot disagree with that. Doesn't make the actual wolf to have really blown down a straw house, a wooden house, and then fell at a brick house, right? And this is the thing that a lot of times people tend to do with the Bible, is they say because something in it may sound true, that the whole Bible is true. Jesus walked on water, but that's the same as saying that if something's true within Hansel and Gretel, then two people really, led themselves back to a house with bread, right? We know that's not true. We know that, it's not true in reality, the realm of reality. I said this before, you have two platforms. You have a platform of literature and you have a platform of reality. Literature is Spider-Man, anything written down, the Bible, the Quran, the Vedas, right? Anything written down is going to be literature, but the realm of reality is totally different. In order for your book to be true, it has to translate over into the realm of reality. And what we're seeing is that these books are strictly literature. They actually do not translate into the realm of reality, right? Not at all. None of the bodies can be found from these books. The places in which, like the timeline, everything is off. The numbers are off. The math is off. The math for Noah's Ark is horrible. The age of the earth is way off, right? The age of human beings is way off when you look at the literature and then you look at reality. Zandia said the majority of believers never read what's actually in the book. They only read verses pointed out by pastors. That's actually true. Someone asked me, was I vegan earlier? Yes, I am vegan. Been that way for about 8 months, almost 9 months now. But yeah, the pastor reads the scripture, right? And then he starts to preach. and they may go home and read over the scripture that the pastor did, and they'll call that Bible study. But you're right, man. They're not taught to read the Bible from beginning to end. I mean, they're taught to bounce around. Which is funny because that's true out of context, right? We're going to read just the good parts and take out the bad parts. That's actually out of context, but you never hear them being criticized for it. Thank you, Audra. Also, you never see, pastors do live Q&As or give Q&As where people can actually ask them questions and pick their brain, and it, and they won't do it. They may go home and read. Conscious Man said, it's not God talk to no one. Atlanta Sword said they justify it by faith. But again, what is faith, right? Again, we all, if you guys subscribe to religion, some of you haven't, some of you always were skeptical about it, but if you were ever truly all in, you know that faith thing was really something that was congratulated, right? Faith is worn like a badge of honor, right? Pride in your faith. You know, I have faith, and that's the whole goal, is to see who can have the most faith. I mean, you want to have faith. That's the fuel that drives this whole thing, right? But the problem with faith is that's what drives every religion. So there's a scripture that says, that's attributed to God, saying that without faith, it is impossible to please God. But faith is what you use to subscribe to any religion. So if you use faith and you subscribe it to the wrong religion, then God is not pleased, right? Because you have to apply that faith to the right God. But if you're using faith, I mean, you could about apply belief to anything, because you can't challenge what you apply or what you subscribe to using faith. How can you challenge it? You're just supposed to believe it with a lack of proof. That's all faith is. Believe me because it sounds good, pretty much. Everyone has faith, so let's not act like we don't. People have faith in what they believe right now. That's absolutely not true. Everyone does not operate using faith. Awakened culture. I know that's the thought of a person who uses faith, but they don't. Honestly, they just don't. They don't do that. Like, again, getting on an airplane. Did you get on an airplane using faith? Larenzo was saying that the other day to me. You know, we understand mathematics. We understand, how to build a plane. When you get on a plane, you're getting on that plane because you trust the people that understand aircraft building, right? It doesn't take faith at all. That plane's going to work or not work, regardless of how strongly you believe in it. It's that simple. I think I had somebody on.
It's really that simple.
Absolutely. Who we got right here? I didn't make the voice out quick. What's up, man? Is that Larenzo?
Man, yes.
Brother,
just
what's
saw
going
you yesterday.
On? I know that's right, man.
All right.
Welcome in, man.
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm all right, man. Just trying to get past these technical difficulties, Larenzo. Sorry for the hour delay, brother.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We good.
All right, cool.
Got some work done anyway.
Indeed, man. Y'all honestly, y'all really patient, man. So you and Pharoah both was really nice about it. I appreciate that. So,
hey, family. I see some people saying hey to me, so I appreciate that. Hello, how you guys doing? Are we still talking to Pharoah? We're still waiting on Pharoah, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. If you want to read some comments on and show some love, talk to some people, Larenzo, do your thing, brother. Oh, matter of fact, before Larenzo even speak, I'm actually very disappointed. I went and looked at my man's actual like page on Facebook, and he needs more followers. He on this show way too much for y'all not to be subscribed to this man's page, and he dropping bombs. Please go like Larenzo's page. It's Coach Renz. Make sure, because I know y'all on his regular page, but make sure y'all go like his like page for real. The man is dropping bombs on there.
And YouTube.
And YouTube, most definitely. Matter of fact, anywhere you need to be found, let them know, man. I just noticed that. I noticed your page, and that's not right for Coach Renz. That's just not right. They need to come up ASAP.
Hey, I'm not like you, sir. I'm not like you.
Oh, man, you better, man. You better, man.
Whatever. Whatever. I'm going to be like Josh when I grow up.
Josh can't give you a hard time tonight, man. We got a slow internet, so he can't really speak. Can't really tap in.
Oh, okay. But it's all right. He'll type whatever you want to tell me anyway. But yeah, now I mean, we just waiting, we just doing things. I was doing a little extra research while we was, waiting and everything. And, I was reading some of the, I didn't get a chance to read many of the comments because, I was fixing up some stuff myself on mine. I'm having a little power problem, but I fixed that.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I do appreciate, I would greatly appreciate anybody who goes over to either my Facebook page or YouTube. You're going to see a lot of different from me. I talk about a whole bunch of different stuff because I'm complex. So I'm going to talk about everything from relationships to business, money, family, spiritual things, different types of spiritual things. So, if you find it interesting, join me over there. If it's not, if everything that you want from me, you get here, and this is cool too. I'm not gonna be mad or anything like that. But I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate everybody for supporting Kevin. What Kevin goes through is far greater than what I've ever had to go through. So, really support this brother and keep him up, keep him going, because it's vital. It's vital that we support one another. So, yeah, all that.
Absolutely.
But, yeah. So, yeah, I heard you talking about some of the things that we're discussing tonight. I was about Easter, about the sun and slaying the lamb and that sort of thing. Yesterday I told you, happy Ostera.
Yeah, happy Ostera. Yeah.
Because this Easter thing, that whole rebirth, it goes across so many different cultures because the Northern Hemisphere experience the spring coming out of the winter at the vernal equinox. So, for us, that's how we perceive it. And I was just going over some of my notes earlier, and I was reminded of how goddess Ishtar, how she had died and was resurrected and came in the form of an egg, and then a dove pushed her from the waters to the land, and then she thanked the dove by, turning the dove into a bunny rabbit that laid eggs. And many people don't even know that Babylonian story right there.
Absolutely.
That's a part of where stuff comes from. But it's there's a lot of information. You can find all kind of celebrations of Easter all around in ancient times because they were celebrating surviving the winter. It was about survival. It wasn't about all this other stuff that once Constantine jumped in the face and said, okay, look, we got to make my sun worship match up with this Christian stuff. So we got to do this Easter thing at this time frame because this is the time frame that we celebrate our new year. This is the time frame we celebrate, the sun, Apollo or Mithra, whichever sun god he chose, because he bounced between both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to bring all those things in and get Christianity to marry up to it, which is why they keep changing.
Absolutely.
If you think about it, if it was a solid day, if you knew that this dude died on the cross on April 5th, then every April 5th is when you're going to celebrate it. It wouldn't be so many days after the first Sunday. Okay, so first is the vernal. First we got to have the equinox, and then the first full moon after the equinox, and the Sunday that follows that. Now they tell them not to worship, not to participate in astrology, but yet you put your Easter day, your resurrection day, the most important day of the Christian calendar, because without the resurrection, Christianity really falls apart. It has no legs to stand on at all. But you make that most important day follow a lunar cycle, follow astrology, right? Which is, and then you go back behind the people and tell them, don't look at astrology. That's witchcraft.
Absolutely.
It makes no sense. Their logic is just, when people can't see that, I just look at them with this dumbfounded look on my face, like, can you really be that stupid? And that's not even ignorant, right? Mm-hmm. Because the information. So it's not ignorance. It's can you really be that stupid to accept that, to rationalize it? But people keep doing it. But it's okay though, because that's why I stopped arguing with them. And I look for the ones who minds have opened. And that's what I love about our family here that I see people, in the scrolling, is that we got that open-mindedness. We got those people who we ain't all got to agree on everything. Some people pick certain cultures to follow, certain historical points to follow, but we all got that openness to be able to understand everything. And that's what I love about our family.
I agree with you, man. And like what you said earlier, just in the beginning story of Semiramis or Astarte or Astaroth or Ishtar, she has many names, guys. Many different
I
deviations of
wasn't gonna
names as they
say
changed over the
Semiramis because
years.
I was like,
Yes,
I wasn't gonna use that name.
this was her.
Many
Semiramis
people
is
don't know
her.
that.
Right. Semiramis is her name before she's deified. So guys, what you want to understand is this: when you're dealing with Babylonian legends, or even back in the day when someone's being deified, when a king is dead, of course he is deified as a god or the new sun that rises again. So Nimrod is the man that's mentioned in Genesis. The Bible refers to him as a mighty hunter. It also said he goes on to be mighty in the land, owning and running such lands as Nineveh, okay, Sodom and Gomorrah, also Babel, okay, so that like with the Tower of Babel, right? So this is Nimrod. Nimrod, when he dies, he gets deified as Baal or Baal or Baal, Baal. Now, Semiramis dies after Nimrod. Now, when Semiramis supposedly dies, according to the legend, this is not facts, guys, it's not true, okay, but when she dies, according to the Babylonian legend, Baal is supposedly not ready for her yet. So what does he do? He casts her back down to earth in a giant egg. Where? Where in a giant egg? In the Euphrates River. Where is the Euphrates River? In the east. Hence the term East Star, Eastern Star, East Star, right? She's cast down to earth in a giant egg. And like Larenzo said, a dove helps her and she turns that bird into an egg-laying rabbit. Right now, culturally, they dyed eggs just like you guys do now during Easter. They dyed eggs the same way. This is the story of Semiramis, Baal. Okay, now all through the Bible, you're going to see their names, Baal and Ashtaroth, or Baal and Astarte. You can simply just do a search. If you go to any type of search Bible where you can type in keywords, just type in Baal and Ashtaroth, and you will see God or Yahweh would be, because a lot of people call the Bible's God, which is generic. The Bible's God does have a name, right? And what was it changed from Enlil, but we call him Yahweh now, right, Lorenzo? Enlil to Yahweh, right? So now we got Yahweh, and this Yahweh character, right, is actually who is Aries, right? So I actually we're gonna definitely get into that later. What I'm trying to do is let Pharaoh get on, because I'm gonna let Pharaoh destroy a lot of the zodiac part of it. He's not gonna be on that long, so he gonna come on and do his thing and get on. So he going first. So I'm trying to give him time to come in and blow that thing on up. Hang on, I got him calling now. Let me make sure everything's straight. 1 second, guys. Hey, what's going on, brother?
Make sure y'all doing some sharing out there. I just got finished
All right,
sharing.
man, cool.
Podcast all over my Facebook.
Okay, brother.
Do some sharing, guys. That's one way we connect with family, is to share it.
That's right. Please share. We wait. No, Pharaoh about to come on now. So guys, just go ahead and share it with as many people as you can. All three of us will be here. We'll be ready to rock and roll. It is time. All right, bet. We should have Pharaoh popping up right here. Oh, so mind you, Christians, just so you guys understand, anybody who subscribed to the Bible, who is Nimrod? Nimrod is Baal. If Baal ran such lands as Sodom and Gomorrah, what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah? It was destroyed. What happened to the Tower of Babel? It was destroyed. What happened to Nineveh? God had to send a prophet named Jonah to Nineveh to tell them to stop doing what? Worshiping false gods. Jonah didn't want to do it, right? So he goes down to Tarshish. All of a sudden, he gets cast into the water because they threw lots, because of course a storm came and they just knew it had to be Jonah after their magic tricks, right? They could have just prayed and asked God who did it, but they actually cast some lots out, and then by doing that they knew it was Jonah. So casting him over, the water subsided, or the storm subsided, and he was supposedly swallowed up by a whale in the belly of this whale for 3 days, and then spewed back up onto the land of Nineveh, where he went and tells Nineveh, you know, Larissa rolling his eyes. Of course, he waits for Nineveh to burn down, and it doesn't. So he sits under a tree, and God withers the tree because of course, Jonah's being selfish and wanting to see them be harmed. But later on, Nineveh was supposedly destroyed. And these are all cities of Baal. And there are many more cities of Nimrod if you look into them. But this guy is supposed to be the main one who's creating, or the main one who the Egyptians, or not Egyptians, but Israelites, who accidentally worshipped him over and over. The Bible would say, again, they have forsook me and worshiped Baal and Ashtaroth. But how? It would say through their traditions. Through their traditions, they have worshipped other gods. Through their traditions. Not they used their mouth and said, I'm going to worship you, Baal and Ashtaroth. But through their traditions, they worship false gods. So you guys' tradition yesterday is Easter, and y'all hid eggs. So through your tradition, you were worshiping Baal and Ashtaroth. That's what Yahweh would say. And this is a simple fact, Larenzo, because what did Yahweh say whenever they were worshiping a golden calf? When they built a golden calf and sang songs to Yahweh through the golden calf, Yahweh said they're worshiping false gods. Did he not?
Yes, it did.
Absolutely.
That's what it says. And then you know the result of that.
Woo!
Man, let's go kill 3,000 of them.
3K. 3K.
Right. Or they're going to take Kevin. Kevin going to get tossed off of a boat and going to get swallowed by a fish and then spit up again.
And Lorenzo, I'm glad you said that because I said whale. It is not a whale. It's a big fish. That's what the Bible says. Because somebody will come and correct and say, you were never a preacher. It was a big fish.
All right. Am I visible?
What's up, bro? We hear you. We don't see you yet, though. We're going to get you on here.
All right. Hold on. Let me try to see what's going on.
That's probably not you. It's probably just Josh will pull your what's the name onto the screen.
Hit the camera.
I see you now. So Josh, yeah, I see him now. So Josh gonna bring him over here shortly.
All right.
I see it.
Let us know when you guys see him.
I gotta get me a background.
I know that's right. How you doing?
How you doing, man? How you doing? It's been a while since I talked to you.
I know that's right. We gotta get these going a little more fluently, but we be doing that work. So you know how that go. But I'm definitely glad y'all got me back for another session, and so I'm ready to do my thing.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Young Pharoah in the house, Larenzo in the house, Larenzo the coach, Renz, and then you got myself, little old me. We about to get it in though. Larenzo, I think my bad. Young Pharoah, you said you gonna kick this bad boy off?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna let you have the floor, my brother.
Oh, okay. And so we're gonna get this thing started, family. And so, coming straight out the gate. Okay, we want to come straight out the gate with mercilessness and relentlessness on the Christ figure in the Bible in regards to astrology. Now, this specific sequence I'm gonna be breaking down is, the vigilance and the destruction brought about on the idol that we would call the ram, the idol figure that we would call the ram, and a prophet in regards to a prophet in the Bible who we know never existed, but for basic principle, we will deem him Moses and what he allegedly did to the ram. And so in the Bible, you see many stories, okay, of Moses interacting with a ram, okay, in a aggressive manner, in a violent manner. Now, what y'all have to understand is Moses in the Bible represents the zodiac constellation of Aries. Now, there are two scales in which we calculate the zodiac houses, which are 12 of them, by the way. There's the monthly scale, and then there's the yearly scale. And so on a monthly scale, okay, the zodiac, it travels counterclockwise. But on a yearly scale, it travels in a clockwise manner. And so what you have to understand is the Bible starts at 6,000 years ago because it starts in the age of Taurus, okay, which is the bull. And so we have to understand that genetically, the people who wrote the Bible only have a physical existence, which has been confirmed by the ancient Australian Research Center for Ancient DNA, okay, to have been existed 6,000 years ago. And so they have tailored this book based upon not only their marker of birth, but also the sun's travel around the solar system predicated upon the start of their existence. And so all Neanderthals, aka individuals who exist outside of African descent, have a 6,000-year-old birthday, specifically Europeans in this case. And so hence, this is why the Bible starts 6,000 years ago. Egyptology, 6,000 years ago. They want to talk about the alphabet and the Phoenician alphabet. All of these things come about 3,000 and 6,000 years ago. And so history as we know it has been convoluted and reconstructed to have started 6,000 years ago. And so when we're talking about the matrix, I have to give y'all the blueprint so y'all can understand where I'm getting ready to go in the Bible. Even today, when you say it's 2018, you are basing your consciousness every day predicated upon the assumptive fact that a man died for your sins 2018 years ago. And so I want y'all to understand how deep this train, runs on this track, or how far this train runs on this track. You can right now say, I don't believe in Jesus Christ. But then if I ask you what's today's date, okay, you're going to say April 2nd, 2018. But if you don't believe in Jesus, then you can't believe it's 2018. So I would have to ask you, what year is it? And that's when people get stuck. But when you understand the way that time is calculated according to the solar system, then you understand the way the Bible is written. And so that's why this is important to understand calendar. All right. So it's a difference between what you call a Western calendar, aka a Christian calendar, aka a Gregorian calendar, versus what you call the solar calendar. And so the solar calendar is determined by degrees, not determined by years. And so it starts at Virgo and it ends at Virgos and it hits its midpoint at Aries. And so a lot of y'all understand that it takes us 25,920 years to travel through the totality of the galaxy, aka the zodiac signs. This is because every 72 years we move 1 degree. It takes us 30 degrees to move through each house. So it takes us 2,160 years to move 30 degrees, aka through 1 house. And so 6,000 years ago, okay, we're going backwards on this travel now because we're on our way to Virgo.
Hey, Pharoah, is that an age? 2,200 years, that's called an age, correct?
2,160 years is called an age.
Absolutely. I just wanted them to know that. Good job. My bad.
That's right. And so today we're in the cusp, okay, which means we just left Pisces, but we're not in the age of Aquarius, but we're getting ready to enter it. And the age of Aquarius actually will be here in, I want to say, 17 more years from today. And no, 16 more years from today. And so we're in the year, 17 more years from today. So we're on the zodiac scale or the scale of the solar system, we're in the year 103. And so that's because I believe we're 222 degrees around the zodiac sign, if my math is correct, out of that 360-degree circle. And so the Aquarian age will actually be here in 17 more years from today. And so now, why is this important? When you look at the Bible goes back 6,000 years on our travel today from this scale today. So that will put us at roughly 9,080 years on a zodiac scale. And so this puts us in the age of Taurus. And so now if you notice, when Moses comes down from Mount Sinai, okay, and Sinai is just a lunar deity, okay, and so and Sinai also, the word also can be substituted for Horeb, which means heat or highest point. So Mount Sinai or heat or highest point also just means the sun at its highest point in the sky. So when it says Moses went up to the mountain to talk to God, we know that Psalms 84:11 says that God is the sun and shield. We know that holy means Helios, which means sun. We know that the biblical God is nothing more than a sun outside of a crazed lunatic character. And so with that being said, Moses is doing nothing more than interacting with the sun at 12 p.m. But outside of that, we know that when the biblical humanoid form of God that we identify with tells Moses to come down the mountain, he tells Moses, basically to break the 10 commandments that he just gave him. Moses still got the tablets in his hand. One of them say, thou shalt not kill. But God sees the Hebrews allegedly worshiping a calf, okay? And this is God for whatever reason, because, God is jealous of a calf when he's the one who created the golden calf in the first place. But, skipping on, he tells Moses to give the Hebrew orders to do exactly the opposite of what he just told Moses is incorrect behavior, which is killing. And so I want to give y'all the science of this. This is because Aries, which is the ram, comes after the calf, okay? And so this is all allegory and symbolism, okay? So the symbolism of Moses and God being upset with the calf and destroying it is symbolic to the age of Aries being the house that is to take place or that is to be president for us to reside in for the next 2,160 years, aka age. And so that is one event where you see Aries. A characteristic of Aries is what? Aggression, and to be aggressive. And we know in Greek mythology, or even according to the calendar we use today on Tuesday, okay, that day is attributed to the god of war, which is the planet Mars, which is Aries. We know that the United States government loves to start wars on a Tuesday because that's when the solar prominence or solar system frequencies of Aries are being emitted into our atmosphere. And so it was at that event, all right, where we see Aries beginning to come into play and basically cast out Taurus, which is the calf. And then another incident is when we see in the Bible, Moses takes the ram to the altar and he slaughters it. Okay, and this is another allegorical situation, okay, of Aries, which is violent, showing violent tendencies to its zodiac sign. And so if you read the Latin Vulgate Bible, okay, because this is not in every Bible, but if you read the Latin Vulgate Bible and you can speak Spanish, if you can't speak Spanish, you can use a translator on Google. You ain't even got to buy no Spanish dictionary. Excuse me. And so with that being said, if you use the Google, language translation system, you will see that when the Latin Vulgate Bible describes Moses, it describes Moses as having horns like a ram. Okay, and so Moses is in direct representation of the ram of Aries. Moses' father, okay, name was who? Amram, spelled Amram. Okay, Am means before. All right, Am means to be. Excuse me. And so Amram literally means to be the ram. Amram gave birth to Moses.
Absolutely.
Now, that's right. And before Amram, you had Abraham. Now, biblical scholars, okay, take the H out of Abraham.
They go
and
Abram.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And they say that the correct spelling of Abraham is Abram, as the God just stated, which is Abram. Mm-hmm. Now, AB means
Abram. Absolutely.
That's right. And so Abram means before the ram. Who was before Moses? Abraham.
Absolutely.
And Abraham was Taurus. And so what you have to understand is the Bible is nothing more than sequences of the sun traveling through the zodiac houses. This is why Jesus does not come into play until the end of the book, because Jesus is the sun traveling through Pisces. And so it would be incorrect on a galactic scale for Jesus to appear anywhere in that book outside of the end of it, because the age of Pisces can never come before the age of Taurus, the age of Aries, okay? The age of any of them zodiac houses going from Virgo all the way to Aquarius, okay? Pisces is right before we get to Aquarius. And so this is one of the true reasons why Jesus is not mentioned until the end of the book. And then the age of Revelations is the age of Aquarius. Okay, and so we know Revelations means what? To be revealed in a dramatic way. We know that the age of Aquarius, the icon or the representative image for this specific house is a man bearing a pitcher of water. And we know that Jesus told his followers what? And this is not a direct quote, but this is a in a range paraphrase. We know that Jesus told his disciples, okay, when you get to this certain city, there will be a man bearing a pitcher of water.
Go and follow him.
That's right. And so Jesus' 12 disciples are the zodiac signs. And Jesus was trying to tell them that they're getting ready to go into the age of Aquarius. Now, I also want to say this because this is a very important point that needs to be made. Only in the King James Bible. Now, I know that y'all think that this is a big statement to make. Okay, but I did an entire presentation on it. You can go watch the lecture. It's called The Bible is Based Off Astrology. It's on my website, youngpharaoh.net. Or what you can do is you can go do the research like I did and look it up yourself. Go look in every other Bible except for the King James Bible. In the word world literally is in the book is age. Mm-hmm. Only in the King James Bible did they mistranslate, okay, that translation. And so everywhere in the Bible where you see Jesus saying, we're coming to the end of the world, or you see any reference being made to it being the end of the world, understand that it really said age. And so the Bible outside of the King James Version is still speaking to you blatantly in astrological form. And so the reason that, it's being covered up is because the church is, I said this before, the Bible is like spiritual sunblock. Okay. And so whenever you study any African civilizations and their spiritual systems and cultures, they're always in reverence and based around the solar system. Every ancient civilization, temple, city, pyramid can be found in direct construction and conjunction and synchronicity with a constellation. And so black people have always been a solar deity people. And so what the Bible did was it said, don't worship the sun in the sky. And not to say we worship the sun in the sky, but we understood the science of frequency and cymatics, and we understood that melanin was condensed sunlight, so we knew where our spiritual energies drew from. So what religion came and did was it said, don't connect with the sun in the sky as the Most High anymore. Come connect with the Son of God. And so Jesus in God as the Most High has replaced the sun and the solar system as the Most High. And so y'all have to understand how freaky this has actually got into enslaving people in order to understand why the Bible will be based off astrology.
I want to try to add something in there, Pharaoh, if you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
So Pharaoh talked about, Mount Sinai and all these things. If you look at the first between Yahweh and Moses, who are really both Aries, Enlil, okay, comes from Aries. So the fiery god who gets mad really quickly is a representative of Aries. Why he got a hail? Because Aries is fire, right? Fire sign. So then how did God speak to Moses first? Burning bush, right? By way of fire. So that just lets you know. You guys can look up Moses statues in Rome, and you're going to see Moses statues with horns on his head. You can find pictures of paintings of Yahweh touching Abraham's or Adam's finger, and Yahweh even has horns in the front of his head. I showed this guys on one of the shows a while back. But I wanted to add that in, Pharaoh, just so people can understand that fire is one of those things that also comes with the Aries, fiery, hot, mad. And just like you said, soon as Moses saw them worshiping the golden calf, which is only a motif to show that the Taurus or the age of the Taurus is over, we're moving in. And you saw the hints to it. What did the Israelites kill, guys, and paint the blood of this animal over their door? Which animal was this? Was that not the lamb, right? And I told them before, man, they're even called sheep. They are called flock, like Christians today are called sheep, flock. Their preacher is called a shepherd. All these characteristics are relating to your God and where that stuff comes from. And like he said, it would be out of place to mention Jesus before the age of Pisces, because Jesus represents the age of Pisces. This is why you see a fish that people buy from the store all the time, and that fish is a Jesus fish. Why would they sell a fish emblem to represent Jesus? Think about it, guys. It's clearly a motif just showing you that they observe the stars. It's a motif. That's all it is. My bad. I just want to throw that in, brother.
No, that's right. Because also, even jumping on that, if you look at the Virgo M, right? It's actually a letter M with the ichthys attached.
Absolutely.
Now, because people always say the altered M, but they don't understand, or they call the Virgo glyph altered glyph, but they don't understand how it was altered. It's the letter M with the ichthys attached. And the ichthys, if you go look it up, is the earliest form of what they call the Jesus fish. All right, and it comes directly from Greeks. And so what you have to understand is the icon for Virgo is direct conjunction of the sun passing through the house of Virgo. And this icon was used for the Virgin Mary in the Bible, okay? And all religious divine, so-called religious divine mothers, their names always start with an M in representation and in conjunction of that Virgo glyph, okay? And so, even Jesus being born in Bethlehem is a term that literally translates to house of bread.
The Hebraic language, if people were to look it up, is Beit Lechem. Beit Lechem literally means house of bread. Literally. Right. So go ahead, bro.
Literally. That's right.
Yeah, literally.
And so when you look at Jesus being born to the Virgin Mary in Bethlehem, literally what that's saying is Jesus, aka the Son, all right, is being manifested, okay, during the going from summer to fall time in the Virgo constellation. And the reason that the glyph is called, the house of bread, is because from August to September is the time where people will harvest their crops, including wheat. And so y'all have to understand, you know, we don't want to make fun of anybody, you know, to a certain extent, me at least. You know, I don't want to directly belittle people, but I have to make a light of the situation in order for people to actually understand how foolish this subscription is that you are, you know, taking. You know, you might as well go pray to a damn Batman DC comic book. Okay, and so we have to understand that religion was created for two things. To, one, take you outside of your original spirituality in forms of interaction with the universe. Period. That's not up for debate. And for two, religion is used to bring in a new world order. Because I'm going to say this. When you walk into a Masonic lodge, there's 3 books on the altar. The Torah, the Bible, and the Quran. All 3 of these books are being used to start racial wars. Now you might say, oh, Pharaoh, how can the Bible or the Quran or the Torah start a racial war? I'll tell you how. Every last one of those books say that black people are cursed and that Semitic people and Caucasian people are God's chosen people. Straight up. The Bible says that the descendants of Ham should be slave to Shem, okay? And Ham in the Bible is allegorical black people, and Shem is Middle Eastern people, aka Caucasians and Arabs. Okay, the Quran straight blatantly tells you, okay, that Shem and everybody in the Middle East and the descendants of Abraham are above all mankind. That's straight in the Quran. The Torah straight tells you that black people have what you call the curse of Ham, and this is why we have kinky hair and big lips and big nose, because, you know, for some reason God cursed us because we allegedly disobeyed him. And so in all 3 of the leading books on the planet that help guide people's spirituality, black people are at the bottom of the totem pole, according to God. And so before I even go any further, you have to realize you're subscribing to a God that already gave you his middle finger. And so when you look at black people all around the world, your internal realm manifests your external realm. So spiritually, since we have subscribed to the position of the bottom feeder, look where we're at. Now, I want to make my point. These books are going to be used to bring in a new world order, because what's going to happen is people only fight for what they believe in. And so once they charade this civil war, because it's going to be a civil war, up to be a religious war, you're going to be fighting in the aid. I mean, you're going to be fighting for the agenda and on the side of the person that's oppressing you, because that is what your spiritual book is subscribing you to do. Meanwhile, everybody that's fighting against you is going to feel some form of divine right to try to oppress you because God said so. And so if I'm a KKK member and I got a Bible, okay, and this Bible say that black people are cursed, which it does say that, and it said that I'm God's favorite, God damn it, I feel like I'm God's favorite, straight up. And so, and to a point, they're justified in their cause because that's what they believe. But if I'm a black power dude and I got a Quran, okay, and I'm talking about the white man as the devil, I feel justified in my cause. And so what you don't realize is both these books were written by Masonic Jews to oopty-whoop you and trick you into doing exactly what you're about to do, which is feed into giving them permission to come enact martial law because you lost self-control over a fairy tale. And so I want to, you know, continue this. When you look at how the world is ran, right? And people say, well, why can't we just let religion be, and why people can't believe what they want to believe? Because religion is used to run every aspect of the world. Now, you might say, no, it's not. I'm going to show you. Yes, it is. I gave you an example, right? The calendar. Today is not 2018. It's technically 15,103. So I'll give you an example. If you get arrested, okay, what do they make any witness do? Whether it's the police or whoever's coming to testify against you. Meanwhile, while you're the defendant in a court of law, what is law based off? The Bible. This is a Christian nation. The Ku Klux Klan is a Christian organization. Now, don't forget the founders of this country was Freemasons, so they knew what they were doing. And so now here's my point. If you go in a courtroom and you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the whole truth, and you put your hand on the Bible, but then you honestly don't believe in Jesus, should your statement still be admissible in court and deemed credible? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I go to court and I put my hand on the Bible, I don't have any confidence. I don't have any confidence in what's about to come out of my mouth, because I didn't believe in it before I got up there on the stand. And so you are held to standards of perjury under oath due to this spiritual composition. Now let me give you a point. If the police said you did a crime on whatever date they said in 2018 or any of these 2000 or any of these millenniums, okay, that are being based off the death of Jesus, if we can prove that this is an incorrect note, that Jesus never existed, we can prove that you never did that crime because that date doesn't exist. See? And so this is why they really forcing you to accept religion, because they set up their entire system of it. If on the back of the dollar it says God we trust, if we prove there is no mystery God, who is that Bible? I mean, who is that dollar? Okay, now backed by. If you go to court and behind a judge it says in God we trust, if we prove there's no God, who is the we that trust in him? Because now you have to separate yourself. And once we separate ourselves, you separate jurisdiction. Because if I don't believe in Jesus and you do, if I can definitively prove that Jesus doesn't exist, is if you still continue to subscribe to him, I can now fight for a separate legislative system outside of yours because I don't believe in yours. So when we're talking about sovereignty, okay, like the Moors we talking about, because I'm on their head at the end of the month. When we talking about sovereignty does not apply to Black people. Sovereignty applies to Shriner Masons who infiltrated the Constitution, and they used the Islamic legislative laws to be exempt from America. So when you claim your nationality and you go underneath Morocco, remember Morocco is in Northwest Africa. So how can you be an Aboriginal Moor, but you claiming to be from Northwest Africa, but then you telling African people we not from Africa, we Aboriginals? See, what happened was Black people got a hold of some information that wasn't meant for them, okay, and they're trying to finesse it. So why is this important? What makes you sovereign from the U.S. government? Your religion. This is why Moors hold on to Islam and they use a Quran. Listen, in the lecture, I'm gonna show it. When you look at the Moorish nationality cards after they file for sovereignty, it always says Asiatic, because they have reconfigured themselves into the identity of a Middle Eastern Arab man, even though they a stone cold nigga. And so what happens is the United States says this is not somebody subjected to the law and rulership of Christianity, so we cannot prosecute. If you go to jail over there in the Middle East, okay, you are considered a Christian entity as a citizen of the United States. But over there, they're considered Muslim entities. And so a Muslim cannot be prosecuted by a Christian nation. Okay? See, we on point with this. We coming tonight and we not coming to play with y'all tonight. And so the point I'm trying to make is the Bible is not only based off astrology, it's used to literally mold and shape your entire reality. Everything you do is predicated off the belief in a fictitious God. And what's happening is they're using this fictitious God that they created to justify your oppression. So when they kill you in the street, this is just like in the Constitution, where the Constitution says you're 3/5 of a man. Now remember, before they started pumping that, they had to create a fictitious backing. This fictitious backing was the pseudoscience that we call the evolution theory. So think about it. How does the evolution theory work? Monkeys turned into Black people, and then through divine natural selection, Black people turned into white people. So white people, according to the evolution theory, are the most updated form of humanity, and we are the downgrade. So we Goku in regular form, and white people is Goku in Super Saiyan 5 form, according to the evolution theory.
Good analogy, bro.
So, and that's a fact. And so what happens is now that according to science, even though this is not true, according to science, since we come from monkeys, you can now legally justify treating us less than human beings. And so religion is used the same way. Since God cursed us, and since God made y'all the chosen people, you can now justify treating us as lesser than any other body on the planet, lesser than anybody else on the planet Earth. And not only can you justify that, you can create up an entire legal system that backs that. And so when people say, oh, why police don't go to jail for killing black people, same way don't nobody in goddamn over there in Libya go to jail for the slave trade, because they're doing it underneath the false pretense that God gave them the divine permission to do so. So until, I don't give a damn if God is real. We got to go see God after this. We got to run up in God's house.
At the end of the day, man, like you say, if this person that we spent our lives believing in and subscribing to, if he exists, he owes us answers. It's not the other way around. You know what I'm saying? So, and people don't really realize that if a perfect being creates an imperfect person, you cannot blame the imperfect person. It's like blaming a faulty car on the faulty car, right? It's silly. The manufacturer is always to blame. You ask any person, who's to blame, the manufacturer or the manufactured product if it malfunctions? It's always the manufacturer, not the not the product. What Yahweh does is tells the product that they are the problem, and that they had an inherent problem. And now, as the manufacturer, I'm exempt from all the reason, and I'm going to punish you for it. Right? Completely exempt from it. And like he said, if you look at the dollar, the information is there, guys. It's also, it says in God we trust, but it also says Novos Ordos Seclorum, which means new order of world. So it's on your dollar that they are trying to create a new world order, a new order of world. They do this with religion. I mean, we know this. We get this understanding, guys. So again, and again, the Aries, so let me just get my mind right. We got from, like Pharoah said, from Virgo, moving all the way back around to Virgo. Virgo is the beginning of the year, right? The actual harvest year in Africa. Now, things start growing back from being brown, withered, right? It comes after fall. So hence, born of a virgin. This stuff is growing back out of the ground. Why? Why are these seeds, why are these plants growing back out of the ground? It make an excellent motif to say out sprouts the seeds from a virgin, right? Every single year this happens, which brings the term, the Virgo brings in the harvest, or Jesus. I want to say this right here real quick, just going to what you were talking about with Yahweh and how he stands to be the one that's in judgment. There's a scripture where Jesus is talking to the disciples and he's telling them this. Now, understand he used these two parables, which is funny, which speaks to his actual motif in his zodiac being coming by way of the Virgo through the Virgin and also walking on water, of course, with all the fish and stuff like that. He first tells two fishermen, come with me and I'll make you a fisher of men. So his first two recruits, two fish, right? This is the Pisces logo. He hires two fishermen to become his first two disciples, right? I'll make you a fisher of men. But let's fast forward a bit. Jesus is talking to the disciples and he gives them a parable. He says the kingdom of heaven is like harvest time, right? When it comes to wheat and weeds, or wheat and chaff. Consider the angels as the harvesters and the people as either the wheat or the weeds or chaff. The angels will harvest the good wheat and burn the bad weeds or the bad chaff. But we don't think about this, right? What happens to the good wheat? Does it not too go into an oven to be eaten? Does it not? But see, we're told not to think about this stuff. The next parable is Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven is just like this. A fisherman casts a net off the right side of his boat. He catches within his net good fish and bad fish. Good fish meaning righteous fish. Bad fish meaning evil fish, okay? Now, what does he do with the bad fish? Jesus says he burns the bad fish. Why would a fisherman burn fish he's not going to eat? Number one. But this is Jesus's dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy, but we're going to go with it. That he'll burn the fish, which makes no sense. He'll probably toss them back into the water or use them as bait. That's more likely. But apparently fishermen 2,000 years ago set a fire for fish they didn't need and used wet fish as kindling, whatever. But either which way, the good fish, they stay with the actual fishermen. This is the end of the parable. But I'm going to ask again, what happens to the good fish? Do they not too go into the oven, into the fryer to be eaten? So it's one of those things where you're going to be consumed regardless, right? And this is the literature that they've given you to try to understand the kingdom of heaven. I'm supposed to understand the kingdom of heaven by being threatened by way of being a good fish or bad fish and being thrown to the fire if I just happen to not be a good fish. I don't get to examine myself because how am I supposed to know if I'm a good fish? I got to wait until I'm plucked out of the water or I'm separated from the wheat and the chaff, or I die to find out if I'm a good fish. There's so many people who try to live righteous according to the literature in the Bible who don't know if they're going to heaven. They don't know if they're a good fish, Pharaoh. They lay down every night and pray that God forgive them for whatever they may have done, just in case. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't want to be a bad fish.
I'm going to tell you right now how you know you a good fish and how nothing in the Bible, ever happened, right? And this is, if you believe in Jesus, okay, then you got it. This is coming out of Jesus' mouth. Now, before I read this Bible verse and give you the reference of where it comes from, I want to lay the map out, right? In the Bible, it says that Jesus was crucified. In the Quran, okay, it says that Jesus was not crucified. Now, the Torah don't believe that Jesus was the last savior at all. Now, let me make my point. The Bible told you Jesus died for your sins, all right? So you got a lot of people striving to be like Christ and make it into heaven and etc. The Quran says that Jesus, okay, did not die for your sins. He wasn't crucified. And not only that, he wasn't the last Messiah. Muhammad was. Now, I have to make my point before I even read this verse, okay? So this verse right here going to let you know that you good. Don't be worried about if you're going to hell or not. This is coming out of OG Jesus' mouth. This straight from the big homie himself. So if it's only one God, because religion is monotheistic, meaning one. It's not poly, meaning many. So Muslims subscribe to the existence of Jesus, which means they assume, okay, and they use all of the biblical prophets, which means that they also assume that the same God who wrote that Bible and he told Muhammad to write the Quran. Now, I know a lot of people going to say, well, Gabriel told Muhammad to write the Quran. Yes, one verse does say that, but then another verse in the Quran says that he got it from Allah. So we still have to find out who we got it from.
Exactly.
But once we get done figuring out who we got it from, now we have to argue this. Did the same God write the Bible? Because if so, why would he tell people on this side of the spiritual world that he sent his only begotten son down there to die for you, which he didn't, because Jesus did not know why he was dying? And then why would he tell people on this side of the spiritual world that he never did that? That means God is not only lying, he's aiding and abetting spiritual warfare. Now, if we was to go to God's son, okay, because according to biblical scholars, God told Moses to write the Torah, which then became the Old Testament, to where the New Testament, where Jesus Christ exists, was added on the back. And then according to other historical biblical scholars, okay, God also, or Allah also, told Muhammad to write the Quran. So now here's the question. Because all throughout both these books, you hear about Jacob talking to God, Moses talking to God. Okay, you got the whole entire Hebrew Israelite camp founded upon Jacob's alleged interaction with God, as well as Moses' interaction with God. You have all of these Muslim sectors founded upon Muhammad's alleged interaction with Allah and Gabriel. Now, when you go to Jesus, right, and you ask Jesus what happened, and you go to the first book of John, chapter 5, verse 37, it states, this is coming out of Jesus Christ's mouth. Jesus Christ said, and the Father himself, which hath sent me, have borne witness of me. Ye have never heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. Good, it's over after that. So if nobody never heard the voice of God, I don't know who the hell Moses got them tablets from. I don't know who the hell Jacob was wrestling, and I don't know who the hell Muhammad was talking to, and I don't know who or what any of the rest of these biblical entities in these Bibles who they were interacting with, because the Son of God himself said, you ain't never heard nor seen my Father. And so that means everybody in this goddamn Bible, if deemed or assumed to have actually existed, were crazy. And they was talking to themselves. And so we have a lot of people right now that believe, because they follow certain prophets or certain words in the Bible, you don't have to fear about if you're going to hell, because God never said none of that. And so if God never said none of that, who said it? Could these people have made it up if they really existed? And so if you don't believe the Bible is based off astrology, if you don't believe that Moses and the ram allegory is synonymous with the age of Aries, and you take this literal, then I ask that you take this verse right here particularly very literal. And so if God never said...
It's only fair. It's a fair suggestion or question.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if nobody never heard the voice of God, you don't need your Bible or you don't need your Quran. No need for it. Because nobody never heard him say anything. Moses didn't hear him say anything to even write the goddamn Old Testament. So now we have to question who wrote the Old Testament and under what influence? Who wrote the Quran and under what influence? Because Muhammad, even though he never existed, Muhammad was fictitiously alleged in history to have been illiterate. So the word Quran means to recite. So we know ain't no illiterate person recite no whole holy scripture word for word, because the Quran also says that it is without flaw because it is the words of Allah. But Jesus just said that nobody never heard his father speak. And in Arabic, Jesus' father is Allah. So if nobody never heard Allah in Arabic language or in English translation, God, then there's no way there was anything for Moses or Muhammad to recite and write down. And so you can throw those books in the garbage today and get that fear out your heart, because Jesus Christ said you good. Right up.
That's absolutely facts, guys. And again, if you stand on the edge, you teeter-tottering on, is Jesus or is Easter represented by Aries? Is Moses represented by Aries? Even Yahweh himself? If you teeter-tottering, I invite you to ask yourself, why do Jews blow shofars during Easter? Why do they blow shofars during what they call Passover, when the sun passes over them into the zodiac of Aries? Please tell me why they blow ram's horns at shofars. What do they consume during Passover? Lamb. Please tell me why they do that if it's not for Aries. What were they consuming way before Passover? Because before you got to have Passover. In order to have Passover or Easter, Jesus would have to die, right? So before Jesus was ever born or died in the literary Bible, what were they celebrating during their festivals? During Passover? Lamb. So when you got Jesus who goes into Jerusalem on the 5th of Nisan, which is April 5th, which is during the Aries month, right? He goes in on the 5th month, or Nisan means 5th month, guys, in Hebrew. Okay, literally, Nisan, 5th month. So Jesus goes into Jerusalem on the 5th of Nisan, riding a donkey, to be judged by Libra, right? before he's shot by Sagittarius, and then goes to the constellation of Capricorn to, of course, go to hell or go to the earth, which is a earth sign, for 3 days before rising again, right? And this is exactly the motif. But when you see the story laid out, why do Jews and Hebrew Israelites blow ram shofars during this time? Why does during Sukkot they do the same thing? And every single festival, why are they blowing ram's horns? Could it be because they worship Aries and don't know it? What other god would require a ram's horn unless he was Aries? Just consider that, okay? What does he have for you if you don't obey him or worship him? Is it not a hail? Is Aries not fire? What is Mar turned upside down? Mars. Wars. If you turn the W upside down, Mars is what it is. What is God backwards? Dog. These guys are not even clever, Pharaoh. You can see this stuff all day. It's not even clever, right? Satan, Anubis, right? It's not even hard to see. When you understand, when you're willing to take a step back, guys, and broaden your vision and take your eyes out of one book, you can see this stuff come together. I imagine to a lot of you who only read this one book, I get this sounds foreign and crazy to you. But man, please do the research, because trust me, man, when someone gave you a Bible, you had zero knowledge. You guys were praying to Jesus before you could even read. I'm serious. They had you praying to Jesus for your grace, praying that Jesus save you if you die before you wake. Take my Lord, take my soul, I pray, dear Lord, my soul you take. Before you could even read a book. And now you're grown, and you're upset at us for giving you a different perspective, for offering you a different worldview. You're afraid to challenge it. So all of the confusion that you have is really self-inflicted because you refuse to challenge it. So you walk around mad and stressed out at us, thinking that we are demonic and agents of Satan because you refuse to do the research when it's right there. Man, these guys, Pharaoh, Larenzo, these guys probably know more than me, definitely been active doing this stuff longer than me. Larenzo got videos that go back years. I heard a video from Pharaoh. Pharaoh, I thought you took a video from me. Man, that crap was like 3 years ago. Apparently, I took it from you. Man, it's just amazing, man. I'm sitting here watching the video like he just all over my stuff. I looked at the date. I said, man, this was like 2007 or something crazy. It was like years ago. I was like, man, you knew that back then. You see what I'm saying? Stuff I'm just now coming into the knowledge of. You know what I mean? And the problem is, man, people have been following me because of this viral video, and they still mad after a year. This stuff you were saying years ago. So I'm saying, now I'm saying this stuff, and y'all ain't did the research yet. This is why you mad. You see what I'm saying?
That's right. What it is people also have to understand psychology. See, the truth, you gonna get to the truth, you know? So it don't matter if I study, like, for example, it's things you come across to where when I finally come across them, and it be like, oh, you know, Kev Ben said this, but the thing is, as long as you on the right path of truth, you gonna come across the same information. That's inevitable. But the anger, honestly, is a psychological response module pre-installed in the brain. That
it is 100% true, Pharaoh.
Yeah, hey. Your brain is neurologically wired to analyze your experience predicated upon your beliefs. And so this is why, let me give y'all an example. We know, now I know that extra dimensional beings and ghosts and spirits and all of that stuff exists. But we're going to cast that out for a second. If you tell your son, boogeyman live in the closet, it don't matter. Once his brain downloads boogeyman is real. That's just like when you go to the movies and you watch Freddy Krueger and you go home and you have a dream about Freddy Krueger. And you say, damn, well, how am I having dreams about people that I know is not real? Because these are Hollywood horror characters. This is because your subconscious mind doesn't know real or fake. Right. All your subconscious mind knows is the analytics of what you are processing mentally. Image in. That's right. And so what happens is people got to understand how the brain work. The neurons in your brain literally rewire themselves and program themselves to release dopamine in the brain according to what you approve of. So when you go to church, even though the setting is false, you might get this feeling of family connection and community connection. And so your brain releases dopamine. And so literally your brain is being programmed. Don't we say they're programming people through TV and religion? They're neurologically programming you through your own experiences. But you don't realize they're the ones setting up your experience. And so what happens is, once you've been programmed into that Bible, and you get these good feelings, and you get this sense of community and family, and you went to church after your husband passed, and everybody comforted you, neurologically, your body says, this experience is positive to me, specifically your brain. And so now when you watch a young Pharaoh video, and I got Jesus in the headlock, finna DDT him, the reason you get angry is because your brain is now kicking in its defense mechanism, which is saying, refute that which goes against what we already programmed ourselves to believe makes us happy.
It's almost like someone telling you your husband cheated on you before you have evidence. You're going to deny it because you don't want it to be true. Everything in your body, that again, I told a lady this today, man. People are trying to help her with this, of course, and all she's doing is respond and repent. Repent over and over. It got repetitive. So I told her, I said, your brain is literally shutting down, and it's not your fault. Your brain is trying to protect itself for what you're not prepared to hear yet. This is what I told her. I said, it's called cognitive dissonance, and you can see it. I said, this is your brain's biochemical, robotic way of saying cannot compute, right? That's right. And this is exactly what it does it when you get knocked out. The whole brain shuts down to protect itself. It does the same thing when you get knocked out with knowledge. I'm not lying. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Your brain will shut down and stiff up because it cannot, at that moment, hear what it needs to hear. Because again, you've already subscribed. There was a woman, Pharoah, who cried because her son had been missing for 3 years. When they told her that her son was dead, she didn't want to believe it. They had to show this lady the shoe, and she still wouldn't believe it. Now, he'd been missing for 3 years. He was 5 when he went missing. I don't understand why it's so hard to believe. But guess what her reason for not believing it was? Because she prayed to Jesus for his safety every day. That was why she didn't believe it. And my whole thing was this. She questioned that, but she didn't question Jesus and why he didn't answer her prayers, or why he didn't at least tell her son was already dead. So he been absorbing all your prayers for 3 years, and this man couldn't have told you that your child has already passed. You see, and this is like the Bible says: if you lack knowledge, let him ask. If a man lack knowledge, let him ask. Please tell us how we get knowledge. Has anybody ever asked for knowledge and it just came from a God, or do you have to do work?
Let me back you up on that.
All right.
So we go back into masonry and how the world is ran. The Bible said, if you lack knowledge, okay, if a man lack knowledge, let him ask. But look what happened to Eve. And so I want to make my point, right? God, because this is what I want Christians to know, because I want y'all to see the morality of God, okay? People say, oh, God gave you your own free will. No, he didn't. A black woman gave you your own free will, according to the Bible. Now, why do we say a black woman? Because we know that according to everybody, science and everything, black people was here first. And so now they also blame black women for the creation of sin. Because all these other races, aka the sons of Ham, were not created until after Eve bit that apple. And so even in biblical form, the black woman is responsible for not only going against the creator himself, but going against her man. So even in the Bible form, they're subconsciously programming you to think that black women are incompetent, okay, and very divisive. Now let me prove my point with this. People say God gave you your own free will. No, he didn't. Because Adam and Eve, even though they were deemed to be adults, had children like minds. Remember, they were not immortal because there was a tree of life and there also was a tree of knowledge. There was 2 trees in that garden, if you don't know. Now, God told Adam and Eve, if you eat from the tree of knowledge, you shall surely die. This proves that Adam and Eve did not know the difference between good or bad, because it wasn't until they ate from the tree that they knew they was naked. Now, why is this important? This proves they didn't have free will. So God didn't give you free will. Eve gave you free will by eating the apple. So now, where am I going with this? When Eve ate the apple, because the devil, mind you, and I'm not telling nobody to go become a Satanist, but the devil kept it realer than God. God told them if they eat from that tree, they will surely die. The devil said, no, you won't. He just don't want you to be smart like him. And so when Eve ate the apple, the first question is, why didn't she die? And then when Adam ate it, why didn't he die? That means God was willing to lie to Adam and Eve to keep them from becoming intelligent. That sounds like the government to me. And so now let me continue on. The entity who came and told them the truth and mentally liberated them was made demonized. That sounds like the man that wrote the goddamn Behold the Pale White Horse to me. That sounds like Eric Snowden to me. And so if this country is based off in God we trust, we can see that they're moving exactly like God. Soon as you get a piece of knowledge they don't want you to know, they cast you from what we would symbolically in this situation call the Garden of Eden. Now, I'm going to make my point now. When Adam and Eve, okay, ate that apple and they learned the difference between good and evil, they realized they was naked. Which means if God knew that they was naked the whole time, why is God not a pervert? And so we have to question the true intentions of God.
That's 100% facts. I ask that question all the time. Why, if he was naked, why didn't he do nothing until they found out they was naked? Now let me close you since you know. But I was going to be looking.
And so here's the question. If the Bible says if a man is without knowledge, let him ask. He didn't even give Adam and Eve the option to ask. And then when they found out, he cursed them for generations. Absolutely. Because remember, the Bible says women get on their menstrual cycle because of Eve biting the apple. So every time you get your period every month, according to biblical scholarship, it's because you're cursed by God because somebody loved you enough to come tell you to eat this apple and get some intelligence. Now, here's my point. If that woman don't want to believe that Jesus was supposed to protect her son and he's supposed to have his best intent in hand, how, if the Father and the Son is one, and we can prove that not only all throughout the Bible, but in the initial people who were the first people to allegedly be created, he didn't have their best intent in hand. So if God didn't have Adam and Eve's best interest at hand, how do you think he's going to have yours at hand? How do you think that? Why do you think God actually cares about you? Not only did he flex and finesse Adam and Eve and then kick them away once he could no longer be intellectually dominant over them, because that's why he kicked them out, because they was fine walking through the garden.
As long as they was dumb.
Yeah, when they was naked and dumb, and he could look at Eve while she picking fruits and berries with his perverse self. That was cool. But as soon as Eve said, hey, God, I'm naked, let me cover myself up, he was like, get out of my house. So what kind of God is this? And so after God does this to Adam and Eve, after God floods the whole earth over, now think about it. If you in America at this time, you an Aztec or a Mayan. You don't know nothing about no Christianity. So according to Christianity, giant monster-sized waves just come swallow you because God got mad at somebody on the other side of the earth. So if God will do that to his own children, if God will flood the entire earth, if God will curse people's children for generations over nothing because he's upset, why do you think that he give a damn about your son coming home when he didn't give a damn about his own son coming home? Not only did he sacrifice Jesus Christ, he didn't tell Jesus Christ, okay, why he did it. And then he told Jesus that his body, that he will be admitted back into heaven. But don't forget, after Jesus was crucified, okay, because the Bible says flesh is not allowed into heaven. Jesus never ascended into heaven. And then when Mary found Jesus, he told her what? I have not yet ascended. So he flexed Jesus. He told, he flexed his own son. So why do you think he's not going to flex you? And so we at the point now where we have to march to the forefronts of heaven. And we got to knock on the door. We got to warrant for God. We got to question God. Okay. We got to be spiritual detectives and question God. Because we finna lock God ass up. God finna go to hell. And so, people need to understand the depth. We joke, we keep the atmosphere, light, because this is critical. You're dealing with people's beliefs. So you got to, keep it light. But the point I want to make is y'all need to understand God does not care about you. God does not care about you. If you do the math on the people murdered in the Bible, there was over 150 events where murders took place in the Bible. If you add up all the numbers that the Bible gave you, you will get 2.8 million murders. If you add up all of the numbers that the Bible didn't give you, but we have to assume people were there during this times of things like mass floods and plagues and other things, you get 25 million people. So God is responsible from anywhere between 2.8 to 25 million murders of his own children. Guess how many people the devil killed? 10. And the 10 people that he killed, God told him to do it. So technically the devil didn't kill nobody. He was just being a hitman for God. And so we have to ask ourselves, what the hell kind of God is this? Because Buddha ain't never killed no goddamn Buddhist monks. You got a better chance of going over there with Buddha. And so people are coming to religions such as Christianity and Islam, thinking it's going to bring them to their higher self. But here's the question. If God is still in his lower self, how the hell are we going to bring you to your higher self? God's still jealous. God's still killing people.
It's actually facts, man. It's like we was taught to look at God and he's totally exempt from judgment. But what Pharaoh's saying now, we can look at this God, these biblical characters, these Quranic characters, literary gods, with a skeptic eye, with a critical eye, and look at it from the standpoint of, are you really God, right? Do we really even need you? Consider this. You're taught that you're a sheep. You're taught you need a shepherd. A sheep believes that a shepherd is going to get him from point A to point B and protect him from the wolf, right? Now just imagine this. You're a sheep out in the woods. A wolf can only take one of y'all at a time. But right. What's going to happen if you make it back to the farm with the shepherd? You're going to get skinned. They're going to be wearing your clothes, right? They're going to be wearing your fur, your wool, right? And they're going to kill you on the 5th of Nissan. They're going to eat you, right? So if you make it back, you're cattle. You're a slave. You never get to leave. They run you. If I'll take the risk in the woods by myself and risk the wolf. Just teach me how to recognize a wolf. I don't need a shepherd anymore in my life. And this is what we've been doing. We've been looking at this God who created two people, knew they were going to eat fruit, created them anyway, and created the tree knowing they were going to eat it. So what you got is a person who really set this whole thing up just so he can create a way that you needed him. Think about it. Your whole life is not based on living good or bad. Your whole life is built on whether or not you accept faith in someone that you have no proof of. That's literally it. He's supposed to be everywhere at the same time. Everywhere. But he sent his son to Bethlehem. Right? Now, the whole planet now, it has 4,200 religions. Christianity has 33,000 just of different sects up under it, right? Sectors under it. So 33,000 different sectors of Christianity. 4,200 religions total. or more. I mean, they're growing, right? People coming up with stuff all the time. But God, it's God's fault because he only sent his child to Bethlehem. What about the entire world, man? You send your child to Bethlehem to do what? Live a life and hope that someone write about it accurately years after he died, and then create a print and press and spread it and convince everybody to believe it. And if you don't believe it, you die and go to hell. It's just crazy. It's simple. I want you to believe in me, and once that is established, I want you to worship me because why? I'm greater than you. I'm bigger than you, so therefore you should worship me. But why are you bigger than me? He made you smaller than him. Right? He had control over your anatomy and everything, and still made you at a reduced version of him, and it'll judge you for it. And it's like people can't see that this dude is inherently evil, man. I mean, I asked the question the other day, Pharaoh. They say, well, how you get here, right? Everything has to be created. So I said, well, who created your God? And they said, well, nobody. He was always here. So he didn't create himself. No. So why should you worship him? What do you mean? If he did not create himself, then why does he deserve your worship for being who he already inherently is? Right?
That's right.
If you were just there and you just exist for eternity, why should I worship you because you don't die? You didn't make you, man. So why are you worthy of that? So but this person says I'm worthy of it. How?
That's right. And I'm gonna end on this because I want to put this in people's brain because you just said something that's very important. I want to expound on it, right? Mm-hmm. This is why this is important. Because people might say, well, why is all this is important? Because, that's like the last stage of denial. Once people can't intellectually refute anything, then they try to act so morally righteous and say, well, why is it important? You trying to bash people? Shut up. And so this is why this is important. Because your entire life is predicated upon people who rule you in the name of this God. So if you do believe in this God, then they have the burden of proof to at least prove to you that this God is worth you living your life out for. And so every time you pay taxes, okay, and they rip your motherfucking check apart, it's for God. That's what you don't understand. If you got a family member, a loved one, and you ever been locked up right now, it was because they trusted in God. But if we can prove that God is a criminal, then the criminal justice system has no legal, righteous, verificating means to be prosecuting you in the names of a criminal. So it either got to go or be rearranged. This is what y'all got to understand. And so people don't question authority. The brother just said, Kev just said something very important. I'm going to end on this, right? Don't nobody question God. You know why you don't question the police? Because you don't question God. Because they're foot soldiers, okay, for masonry, which is predicated upon religious brotherhood used to flex and finesse everybody, okay? So they have a Masonic order called the Fraternal Police Order. Go look it up, all right? And so with that being said, the legal system is backed by God. You are taught not to question God. This is why you don't question the government, because the government does everything in Jesus' name. And so when you watch the news, you believe it's true. When the police kill a motherfucker and say he had guns in the car and he didn't, you believe it's true. When they up the goddamn gas price because they lying to you, telling you something's going on with the oil, when they could easily make energy, natural cars that run off solar energy, you believe it because it's true. If I step on your shoe right now, I might have to fight for my life. But if the Pope come and spit on your shoe, you gonna let it rock because you believe he's a messenger of God. You know why? Because since you don't question God, you don't question the people who telling you they come in God's name. And so since you don't question God, you don't question the police, the government, the judge, your pastor. You don't question no nigga that come in the name of the main nigga that you afraid to question. Straight up. And so we have to get out of the fear of believing we can't question God.
Bro, they won't even question their pastors. Exactly. You see, they won't even question their preachers, man.
Because you believe he come in the name of
God. They think he got magic sprinkled on him. He's anointed, and you can't touch him because he's anointed. But he raping your child, right?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Mind you, the preacher is a false prophet because Jesus just said nobody heard his father. Nobody never heard God talk. So what is the pastor telling you that allegedly God told him to tell you on a Sunday? Because the pastor, or if you go to the church, if you go to a cathedral, a Catholic form of a church, the father, aka the Catholic priest, is the one that's supposed to be in contact with God. But if Jesus just said nobody heard God at any time, he didn't say nobody heard God yesterday, but tomorrow you're going to hear him. He said at any point in time, you have never heard or seen God. So if nobody never heard or seen God, how you painting pictures of this man? How you sitting here telling people what this man said? And so what you have to understand is your entire life is ruled by a fictitious God that was made up. That's like me making up a God right now, writing a Bible that's in my favor, and then forcing you to believe it. Everything I do to you, you're going to accept it because you believe it was divinely ordained.
Absolutely.
So when you see silly ass pastors like that black woman who got up, okay, I don't know her name, but she was like, I'm glad that I was a slave because I got to meet God. First of all, that comes, actually what she's saying is true if you're a Christian, because that's what the Bible says. But then also, she's a false prophet because the Bible says that a woman should not speak in church. Therefore, according to the Bible, there could never be a female pastor because you're supposed to shut the fuck up. And so this is what I'm saying, family. People taking what they want to take from the Bible and giving it to you for their agenda. But I'm ending on this so that y'all can have this in your mind. At least if you believe in a God, can we establish that he's morally right and just? Because I would rather go to court and put my hand on a goddamn Bhagavad Gita. Because at least Buddha ain't never murdered his followers. I would rather go to court and I'd rather have $1 and the dollar say, in fucking Buddha we trust. God damn it, I got more faith with Buddha than I got with God.
That's why I was telling him the other day, I like Ganesh. He a pretty cool Hindu god. He actually really, really cool. He ain't got no problems. I ain't got no beef with this dude. Yeah.
And so this will to understand. If the powers that be cannot prove to you that the power that they allegedly ordained them justifiable to do what they do to you for one exists, and if for two, if he does exist, he was morally just, then away with their whole system. And so this is why it's so important that people understand why religion is being ruled to use you. Without religion, there is no doorway into the spiritual infrastructure of the people. If you didn't believe in God, then you would understand why it's stupid for you to pay for food and water. But since you do believe in God, you believe in money. And since you do believe in money, you believe that you should pay for shit that's free.
And you believe God needs your money, paper money that people print. Like we really don't think. That's the problem. Pharoah, would you agree with this or disagree? I know we give a lot of information contrary to biblical information, right? We teach people the origins of it, and people don't really like to hear that. Would you say, though, learning psychology would just help a lot of people walk away from this stuff? Because it's understanding the brain and how you got religion. This is what I'm looking into now. If we exercise and understand where we were mentally, in our trauma, in our life, when we adapted and subscribed to these beliefs, we will see that we adapted to them or subscribed to them when our brain was not fully functional at that time. My mother died when I was 3. They told me she was in heaven, dude. I didn't read no Bible and read this. You see what I'm saying? So I subscribed at an early age. The literature came later. And I believe many people can attest to this, that literature comes later. And in fact, most people never get the literature, yet still subscribe, right? You got people, you say, man, what are you? They'll tell you I'm a Christian. They don't even go to church. They only saying it because their mama went, right? Or their grandma went or whatever. They don't even really mean it, but they still believe in Jesus. Why? Why do you believe in a person you never even read the book to see what he's saying? If you wrote a book right now, Pharaoh, Larenzo wrote a book, myself wrote a book, all three of us joining together to write a Bible, nobody gonna believe that crap. But right. If we lived 2,000 years ago, they would. That's literally, I know you now, Pharaoh. So I can read your stuff within context and know who you are to say, do I trust this man or not? But I don't know Moses. I never met this guy. I never met Paul. Then you come to find out these dudes never existed. These writings are just attributed to them. So who you putting your faith in?
And even if they did exist, their history is so disgusting.
Absolutely.
Muhammad married a 6-year-old girl. What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
Paul killed Christians.
Exactly. You know how many of these prophets was literal rapists and pedophiles? And just because, see, y'all fell in love with your name, with stars' names being on a billboard. Y'all don't give a fuck what their background is. This is how so many famous people get away with doing sick shit, because you don't care. As long as they shit is flashing in them bright Hollywood lights, you're gonna subscribe to them. You don't care if they getting off. And look at all these celebrities adopting these black kids and doing weird ass rituals and sick shit to them. Y'all don't care about that because all you care about is, oh, I just ran into Angelina Jolie. You don't know what Angelina Jolie is doing to them goddamn kids. What's the name of that goddamn one celebrity dressing that little boy up with that wig and be putting a dress on him? You know, first of all, you can clearly see that little boy be fighting that white lady. But even if he wasn't fighting that white lady, who is she to predetermine his sexuality when he haven't even hit puberty yet? Huh? His sexual hormones haven't even kicked into his bloodstream yet, but she already predetermining the path which he will walk as far as his sexual preference. So who the fuck is she? Is she God? Is she God? And so, but y'all don't give a fuck about that because when y'all see her doing that, instead of checking her ass, the first thing you're going to say is, well, God love everybody and everybody can do what they want to do. So you see somebody acting like God, and then you allegedly use the words of God, which you've never heard, to justify them performing what you would consider blasphemy as a Christian. And so, you know, the time has come where you have to stop being full of shit. And today is that time, even with the money. Okay, y'all love money so much. You see people get on the stage and the first thing they say is, I want to thank God. What you want to thank God for? Because you rich and you signed a deal? First of all, money just came out about 1,000 to 2,000 years ago max. And so here's the question. If the Bible was wrote 6,000 years ago, at what point in time did God start going broke to where you had to start paying tithes? Because what was you giving to God before money was created? And so does God have a fucking checking and savings account? Huh? Did God go and walk his silly ass into Chase Bank and open up an account? Does God need money? So you have to ask yourself this, family, what is really going on here? And a lot of the times you deny it because you don't want to feel stupid, but it's okay. We all listen. There's been times in my life where I said, "Damn, I'm stupid as hell."
Right.
And it wasn't until I did that I got smart and I didn't do it again. So a lot of people in church is not denying the truth because it's not the truth. They don't want to say, "Damn it, I've been in here wasting all these years of my life."
Right, pride, and that's silly, man.
But there's nothing wrong with that because it's never too late to not change. I don't even want to say change. It's never too late.
I say to change your mind, to literally change the way your mind works. That's all it is.
And become your best self. But if you denying the keys to that door, then you have to realize that you are consciously deciding to live in your worst self. And so I'm going to end on that. And I'm going to, let the brother Larenzo jump in so we can continue to get it on. Y'all can continue to get it on. But I definitely want to come on here tonight, family, and get it in with y'all and give y'all that, my perspective of not only the allegorical symbolisms within the Bible, especially dealing with the ram or the age of Aries, but understand why this is even happening. See, a lot of the times it don't even be about what, it be about why, because if we say, oh, the Bible just got wrote in the 1400s, okay, then people will say it's not about just not believing it. Then the next question will be why. And if you can't give somebody a why, then even myself, I will say, well, get that shit out of here. And so I'll give you the why. The why is because they're using it to usher in a one world government, and they're using it as a fictitious, spiritual, divine reason for why they're making you pay for shit that's free and why they're locking your ass up. And so every time you go to jail and motherfucker, that police report say 2,000 whatever on it, know that you are going to jail predicated upon Jesus Christ dying for your sins. And you are being prosecuted and people are being sworn in predicated upon taking an oath underneath the false pretenses that the Bible will somehow make you upstanding in court and would nobody lie on a God or a Jesus Christ that never existed. And so once you understand how this shit is really working, then you see why they don't want to get rid of it. Because if you get rid of the Bible, you get rid of every bank, you get rid of every court, you get rid of every DA, every judge, every form of law enforcement, you get rid of the fucking Pope, you get rid of all of these weirdos, you get rid of the whole Middle East gotta go, all of that Aliyam Shamla, get that shit out of here too. Because if without no Old Testament, there is no Quran. And so this is what you have to understand. The world is being ran by religion, literally. And this is why people who are religious consider you a sovereign, or they consider you a pagan when you outside of their jurisdiction, because a sovereign is what? A king or queen outside it. A king or queen established an individual rulership. So in order for you to be inside somebody's rulership, you would have to ask who's your ruler now. Your ruler now is God and Jesus Christ. But when you establish your sovereignty, you're saying, I'm my own God and king. I don't give a fuck about what no Jesus and God said. So y'all have to understand, just be understanding the original inhabitants of this land were not Christians. When them pilgrims came over here, they made them into Christians. And so you have Indians and Aboriginals and Africans over here right now being ruled by Christian law. And until we denounce Christianity, you'll never denounce oppression. It's that simple. It's that simple. You're not going nowhere until you get rid of the God in the Bible. And so I want to end on that. And so, if that's not enough reason for you to stop being a Christian, I hope the police pull you over tomorrow and bust you in your goddamn head in Jesus' name.
Well, there you have it. Hey, listen, I don't know if Pharoah's hanging on for a minute or if he's got to go, but I want to let y'all know before he hops off that we are planning that documentary for what's that next month? Pharaoh, is that April, May, right? Just to meet up and get it recorded for May. So next month, guys, I'm trying to travel out to Pharaoh to get this documentary jumped off. We're probably going to need about 2 days, maybe potentially 2 flights. We think we can handle it in one, but I will be putting out a GoFundMe for that. I'm going to be asking for donations of $20. If you donate $20, when the DVD comes out, it is absolutely yours. You've already paid for it. You've earned it. You deserve it. So, again, money don't grow on trees, but it's the root of all evil, right? Said that in one of my rap songs. Just go listen. It's it's fire. No, I'm just playing. But most definitely, guys, just keep that in mind, man. I will put that GoFundMe up, and I look forward to you guys actually donating to help me get out there so we can get this thing shot, guys. So, and that's it. Pharoah, are you gonna hang on for a minute, or are you about to rip out?
I'm about to get ready to run, and I want to say this to Brother Larenzo. I am getting ready to run, but I'm gonna make sure we link up and I get with you, especially before and after I get back. So, I chimed in this time to drop my little frequency and go run off and do what I do, but I definitely don't want to miss you again. So I love you, appreciate you. Salute both of y'all for having me on here. And family, be on the lookout for this documentary because we not playing no games with this one. And so once you get that link up, Kev, let me know so I can share it everywhere. Also, I'm gonna also get with you whenever you get done with this. Shoot me a text or something.
Indeed.
We set up a date for us three can come on the live stream on my channel and share it to my subscribers on my YouTube so that everybody can support and get ready for us to do a true holy work.
Absolutely.
In holy matrimony.
Indeed. Hey, man, thank you for your time, brother. You the man.
Yeah, that's not a problem. And so I'm going to be back on here, family. Believe that. We're going to set it up, and I'm going to ride with y'all the whole time. So, Kev, Larenzo, do y'all thing. Shout out to all the family that's, in here viewing. Thanks for the support, and I will be back. Peace.
Peace, brother.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. So now, without any further ado, Larenzo gonna come in here and just put the icing on the cake, destroy this thing. It's already breaking down into pieces. So we're gonna just go ahead and destroy it down into fine powder right now. Okay, we're gonna just crush it into fine powder right now. You ready, Renz?
Man, that Pharoah he just crushed it down.
It's already crushed. It's already gone.
It's already crushed. I mean, I was just all in the chat. So hard. I was just in the chat, just like handling things over there.
Indeed.
Because he brought a lot of, he brought up whether you disagree fully, whether you agree with him fully or disagree with him fully, there are just certain things that you just can't ignore, and some of those things that you just can't ignore is the damage that religion does, to this world. Whether you want to look at it from a bias side or look at it as straight what it is what it is. I posted something in the comments that, if you take out, and I put this on my page about a week ago, that if you take religion out of the equation, that good people will still do good things and bad people will still do bad things. That religion is the excuse for good people to do bad things and justify it. And religion has been used to justify bad people doing bad things, but it also has justified bad people doing worse things. I was having a little comment in there, and people of religion like to forget that people like Leopold was a Christian, that the popes are all Christians, that Hitler profess Christianity. And if their rule is, if you profess John 3:16 that you're Christian, then those people professed it, but yet they utilize that vehicle to go around and mass murder Africans, to mass murder their own Europeans who disagree with them, to mass murder the Jews and blacks and anybody else who they, the handicapped and people like that in Germany. They also utilize that for divine manifestation to be able to go across this land, America, and just mass murder the indigenous people and go everywhere else and just kill and maim. And yes, you can find it in every religion. I'm not just looking at the one, every religion, where people have utilized that they're doing something based on the divine right of some God that they've created for themselves. And that's the key point. They've created it for themselves, because every God, except for those who are caught up in a slave mentality, every God looks like the people who created that God. You look at everything here, in Europeans created white looking guys, the Africans created black looking guys, Asians got Asian looking guys. Now the colonization, of course, they convince people, because you got some idiots. Yeah, I forget what country it is in Africa right now, but they're building some big statue of a white Jesus. But everywhere else, people are creating God in their image. So when they come in contact with somebody who's different, somebody who thinks differently, then they come into a point of, oh my God, I can oppress you, I can keep you down. And this is why we have to get rid of religion. That religion just continues to drag people into the dirt. Sorry, I just saw a comment and threw me off for a second, but I saw that comment that it was. I would understand it. Some people wouldn't understand what was just written. Now, I'm not trying to sound funny, but it's just because I know what he wrote. But anyway, sorry about that. Lost track for a second. But the fact of the matter is that we have to start looking more into our own selves and our own morality. There are people who are saying that if you're an atheist, if you don't believe in God, then there's no way you can have morality. Steve Harvey came out and said that an atheist can't talk to him because he doesn't have morality. And we're talking about a man who's, consistently cheated on his wives and things like that, who was talking about somebody else's morality. Now, I'm not saying the man has no morality, but he puts himself on a pedestal because of his religious belief and thinks that other people, there are atheists who are married and have never cheated on their wife.
Their idea of morality is that they feel bad for it. You see what I'm saying? I got somebody to answer to, which is really silly.
Right. And see, here's the dumb part of that. And using the example of having a wife and cheating on your wife, then even the atheists will feel bad once they realize how much pain they've created. If they're a good person, they're going to realize they feel bad because of the pain that they've done to their wives. The actual person they offended is the person they'll feel pain towards, that they feel guilty or ashamed towards, not visible peekaboo dude in the sky who's just looking down and seeing what y'all doing in y'all bedroom and making judgment calls on it. Not that dude. Mm-hmm. But you should feel issues. You should feel morality about the people that you either make happy or that you make sad. And that's where your morality should be, based on the people you are in contact with, the way you take care of yourself, the way you take care of this planet, the way you take care of everything. That's where your morality stands. And that's something that's innate, that's born within you, that you naturally have, that you don't have to be taught. You don't have to be taught that. There are plenty of times where I've told my kids when they were small, real small, and I would ask them the question. I'm talking like 2 years old. They do something. I'm like, do you think that's the right thing to do? And on their own, they would either say yes or no. Now, if they said no and I know it's wrong, then I teach them, hey, you're taking away or injuring someone else. So I would teach them that morality. It had nothing to do with a God.
I tell you what, I don't know if you guys saw this video. It's a little girl. I think she's Asian. May have happened in Asia, but there's a mother about to wring the neck or break the neck of a chicken. And the little girl is like screaming, wanting her to not kill this chicken, right? Every time she reaches and grabs the chicken, the little girl will come and pull her hands off of the chicken, right? Protecting this chicken. Now, I'm not trying to make media to sound like criminals or anything, so bear with me here. Let me make my point. You got a little girl here who's saying, don't kill this chicken. This child is not desensitized yet, okay? When we're given food, it's just put on a plate. I remember my daughter, man, she was about maybe 5, and she had just found out that hamburgers came from cows, and she was just furious. She did not know she was eating cows this entire time, and I thought it was funny, right? I thought it was funny. I should have realized then that had she known she was eating cows, she probably would have never eaten it. This is a cow you're going to eat. We don't introduce this to our children that way. You know, we give them baby food that may be beef or chicken and things that so forth and so on. But anyway, we're desensitized to the murder of animals because we grow up witnessing it. This is why when you see a chicken be killed, it won't bother you, especially as much as it would bother you seeing a dog be killed. If you see a dog get mistreated, even not fed, you'll be ready to, have this dog taken from the person who owns the dog, right? Call the police, call animal cruelty centers. But a chicken being killed, it's not going to be a problem. And again, murder is murder, but by way of being subjected to your culture, you're desensitized to the murder of that chicken. This little girl didn't have to be told that, though. So to her, she said, I don't want this to be harmed, this animal to be harmed, because she has not been desensitized to the murders of these animals. She probably doesn't know she's eaten this animal probably before, This is just how it happens. So I just want to shine some light on that. And I want to say that atheist itself is a straw man. Please understand that. Larenzo was saying something earlier about giving God a character, and this character cannot be challenged. And it's a straw man to say we're going to say in God we trust and introduce our own belief system under this and subject you to it. This is done the same way with an atheist. What is somebody who does not believe in the existence of Wolverine? A grown-up, right? Right? What is somebody who does not believe in the existence of Santa Claus? An adult, right? What is someone who does not subscribe to the belief that you gave them about God? An atheist. There's a whole name for that. And now since we named it, it must have its own set of psychological attributes, right? Now it must lack empathy. Now it must lack sympathy. It must lack morale because we created a name for it. But let's look at the world. Who are most crimes committed by in this geographical area? Christians. Why not atheists? Why not? Just if you really just think about it, atheists don't have morale. Why are they not filling up the prisons by killing people? People say, Kevin, calm down your information. You can wake people up too soon. I have never, if that was true, this is the time people have been waking up, seem like more than ever. It's happening all the time. Would you agree, Larenzo? People waking up all over the place, right?
I agree.
So why is there not a sudden boost in the crime rate? Why is there not a sudden boost? We're just robbing banks now because we don't believe in Jesus anymore. What I'm saying is Christians subscribe to ideas about even you personally, even though there's proof that you don't act that way. They subscribe to a belief in God in whom they can't even see, and they believe that. So the lack of thinking when it comes to making you evil, even though they have no proof and you right there in front of them, it's almost funny that they'll say everything you ever did was just to hide the fact that you were evil. As soon as you tell them you don't believe in their gods, then now all of a sudden you're evil, and everything that you do that's nice. Like someone commented, Larenzo, they saw me feeding the homeless, right? You only doing this to try to make yourself look good so you can look like a good person. So now my good deeds is proof of my evil ways to them. You see, so how can you deal with that?
Because see that they have a preconceived notion as to who you are, and because Kierkegaard wrote, the moment you label me, you negate me. Because the moment you label me, then as far as I am and as far as who you are, your perspective, I now have to live up to your label. So when people look at Kevin and say, oh, Kevin is a Satanist and evil and that sort of thing, no matter what you do, their perspective have to make you live up to the label that they've attached to you, instead of just looking at the purity of what you're doing and observing to see are you doing this for some subversive reason? Are you feeding the homeless and putting poison in the food? Or, you doing flowers in the attic? Is that what you're doing? Mm-hmm. Or are you literally just feeding people who are in need of food? Somebody has said they're asking the question, well, how does an atheist get their morality? This is one of the most dumb questions that Christians and theists, period, will ask. Well, how does a person get their morality? I'm gonna tell you something. Here's the thing. This is biological, and this is also psychological. No matter how you slice it. So I will hope that they can get past their bias and understand this. Strip away all that you've been taught, because it is the exact same thing. Your morality, everything about a person, 25% of who you are comes from your genetics. You are genetically built to be a certain way. Some people are genetically built to gain muscle quick. Some people are genetically built to not. Some people are genetically built to have fast twitch muscle and can run faster, jump higher, all those sorts of things. You have certain genetics, 25%. And that 25% can make you into a Michael Jordan, LeBron James, right? But it is the 75% environment conditioning that makes you into a LeBron James. It is the training. It is the exercise. It is the study. It is all those things that makes LeBron James physically into who he is. 75% of his physicality is conditioning. It's his environment. So what makes you a good person? What makes you moral? What makes you a bad person? You got 25% that's natural. But everything else is your environment. Everything else is your conditioning. If you were Christian, and matter of fact, if you take a Christian and you take a atheist, and you set these two kids as kids by themselves, sitting down in a room watching television of violence, and then having an adult coming in and beating the hell out of them every day for no apparent reason, and then that adult is also, just taking them to abuse other people. Both those kids are going to turn out to be violent psychopaths, right? Because their environment has created that for them. Their environment has made them in such a way that what's normal in their brain is to be abusive. It's just like the Christian little kid or the Buddhist little kid or the Muslim little kid who watches his father beat his mother. Although he may despise it because he loves his mother, at some point, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that kid beats his wife and the cycle continues. So when these people say that, well, how does an atheist get their morality? An atheist born in America and an atheist born in Norway and an atheist born in China, they're all very different because they have different environments that they grew up in, different traditions of their culture and their country. But for some reason, people believe that you got to have this book of God and this sort of thing to keep in order for you to have some kind of morality. And yes, I do say 25% of your morality will come from your genetics, because I can look at myself, who I did not grow up with my father, but some of my father's moral traits, as he has told me, I didn't get to know him until I was an adult. And some of the stories that he told me about himself as a young man, and I'm looking at him thinking, how did I do the same things you did as a young man? I grew up in a totally different time frame, around totally different people, different environment, but yet I did some of the very same things you did. So, but I also learned differently after I had the experiences of a lot of those things. So my development changed because my environment was different. So when people sit up here and ask these asinine questions about how does an atheist get their morality, it's by their environment. And when they make asinine statements of, because y'all know I met Alton and one-on-one, he's a cool brother. I ain't gonna lie about that part. But it's the statements that are like that we said earlier, saying that so loving your neighbor is immoral. No, I'm not saying everything in the book is immoral. It got some good stuff. Don't steal. But every book says don't steal. Love your neighbor. Guess what? Every book says love your neighbor as you love yourself. Every last one of them. You can find it in the Vedas, you can find it in the Torah, you can find it in the Bible, you can find it everywhere. All of them say that. All of them. The Confessions of Mayat has all of that. So it's not like the Bible got some kind of copyright, some kind of trademark. But that's
I was about to say, because it actually has a copyright, which is very funny because it's the word of God.
I know. But it's just some of this stuff. Am I atheist? No, I'm not atheist. Do I believe in a God of the Bible or the Torah or the Vedics or anything? No, I don't believe that is the conception of God, the full and only conception of God. I believe that is something that man has constructed on his own. But do I feel like I have a right to force somebody to believe what I believe? No, you ain't got to believe what I believe. That's on you. That's on you. But when you try to condemn people for it, and then after you condemn them, you treat them a certain way, and you allow certain things to happen to them because of what your beliefs are, then that's when I have a problem with you. And that's why we come on here, and that's why we talk. That's why we try to free other people from that. Because in truth, when we all can just look at one another and just say that Kevin is Kevin, and I'm going to deal with Kevin based on how Kevin is and what Kevin does, then that creates how I view Kevin and whether or not I'm going to deal with him. So, and Tim just asked, can I define atheist? I mean, the definition of atheist is somebody who doesn't believe that there is a divine creator, that there is a creator, that this is all some big accident or just happened to be. But even in the study of science, you have to recognize that the chaos doesn't create order, that energy is neither created nor destroyed, that, that all of this couldn't have just been in a big swirl and happened over billions of years. So, but to me, it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be to believe that there is some divine that there is some intelligent creator. I don't even like using the term divine, because in truth, you can't even quantify the creator as being divine. All you can qualify it is that it created, because that creator made both good and evil. It made free will. It made the ability to cause pain. It made diseases. It made everything. So what qualifies it as divine? That would be the real question. What would qualify it as divine? So it just is. And then somebody put earlier that if the person using the tool use it poorly, does that make the maker wrong? No, it makes the person using the tool wrong. If everybody listening to this has the ability of cause and effect, everybody does. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what your religion is. Cause and effect is true no matter what you say. If you do something, there is an effect. If you walk down the street right now, there's an effect from that, you walking down the street. All right, everything has an effect. So we all have the ability to use the tool of cause and effect. Now, if you spend too much money and then you lose your house, that's your fault. You created that. No one created that for you. That was your cause and effect, right? So if you are the causal factor to that effect, you can't blame God. You can't blame the devil. You can't blame anybody but yourself. But you knew that there was a rule that says that if you spend more money than you earn and you don't pay your rent or your mortgage, you get kicked out. That's the cause and effect. There's nobody's fault. It's just a rule of the universe. It's a rule of natural law that's just there for you to use, how you choose to use it. Now, what people have done, they've codified things in these books to control you. That's their causal factor, is to write these books, to put these rules in place, these secondary, third-tier rules in place to control you. And if you allow that to be, then that's your fault. Kunta got his butt whooped until he said his name was Toby, because there was a cause and effect factor that was being taught there, that I'm going to control you. I'm going to first strip away your name. I'm going to strip away your heritage. I'm going to strip away your culture. And then I'm going to make you believe what I'm telling you to believe. And then after you believe that, you're going to pass that along to your children until it just becomes natural for them to believe that. My cause is to create generational slavery so that I can have generational wealth of that slavery in building my country. Why? Because my book tells me so. It's the same rule of cause and effect. We just have to use the tools for ourselves and use them in a better way. And we can do that. Kevin go feed somebody. Some other people want to judge him. You shouldn't even, we can't care about it, because that's not you. You can't let somebody else's label become who you are. So,
I want to say this right here too. This is going to be my first time challenging Coach on my show now. And it's obviously nobody can be presented as wrong, because we're not going off any facts here. But I'm just going to beg to differ on one thing. Coach said that it takes more faith to subscribe than to not subscribe in the belief of he didn't want to say divine, of course, and I respect that, but creator. Here's why I venture to differ on that. Let's just take a box, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to take a box, and I have a box in my hand. What's in it? Anything in the entire universe can be in this box. Anything, right? So when you start deciding what's in this box, first let's try to say what isn't in this box, right? We know it's not like a bed made of nails in this box, right? Right? We know it's not a refrigerator in this small box I have in my hand. But what is in this box? Now, here's what I'm saying. You have a box that you cannot see in. You cannot pry open. And now you have to guess what's in this box. Now, what's in this box is the cause of the universe. But what is it? Now, we were taught as children that God was in this box, right? Now, we were given a construct of how to see God. What if what's in this box isn't a God at all, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what I mean by this is what, and Larenzo had said this just before, that where you grow up is going to affect your mental paradigm, right? You're going to be somewhat of a victim or a product of your environment. The reason that we think these thoughts of God, higher power, and all these things are because we grew up in an environment that was conducive for producing these ideas. If you take a child and you separate them from these type of talks, they will never say these things. Does it make it not true? No, it doesn't. But even if you subscribe, like Larenzo says, hey, I believe that there's more to life than this. I would actually have to agree with that, because who am I to say that there isn't? I believe that what we've done, though, is we've used this 3-letter word God to bridge the gap between the known and the unknown. If we don't know how we got here, therefore God, right? If we don't know the answer to this question, therefore it must be God. Now watch this. When a magician comes out and he shows you a magic trick, right? We don't know how the magic trick happened, therefore it must be magic. But when you learn the trick, it's not magic anymore, right? It's no longer magic. It becomes a trick, right? A deception of the eyes, even. It's not real magic. Actually, I don't think we've solved this, right? There's a lady right now who appears to be floating and people are falling for it. But why are the pillows beneath her, right? Why does she have to have a cane under her arm, such as all the other people who were fake flying? If she could really float, she wouldn't need any of these objects around her, right? But when we look at this, we say, well, dang, how can she not be flying? Because we want to assume the magic. You see, because we don't know how she's doing it. So until we figure out how she's doing it, until proven fake, we have to assume that it's real magic. But the brain should not work that way. We must first have to critique and be skeptics before we make the conclusion or subscribe to the idea that a God did it. And like, well, and Larenzo, don't get me wrong. I know you're using the word God for lack of a better word. Don't get me wrong, because I've never even heard you say that. You know what I mean? So it's hard to convey God to people unless you say that word. You know what I'm saying? But I would never say that. Of course, no grenade's gonna happen and build a daggone masterpiece, right? But at the end of the day, what believers say is that if you don't know the answer to this question, then it means by default, my God that I was taught to believe in is real. And that's why I want to separate the two, because I don't want believers, Larenzo, to hear you say that about, taking faith to be an actual faith to be an atheist and think that, okay, that's a good reason for me to subscribe to my construct of God, when it absolutely is not.
Nah, he is. Kevin.
Yes, sir. Hey, bro, you breaking up, Josh?
Yeah, it cut out like the last 30 seconds or a minute or so.
Oh, okay. Let me say it again then. I was saying that, of course, with Larenzo, I know Larenzo is using the word God for lack of a better word, because it's simply hard to convey over to a person what we're trying to say without using these words. You see what I'm saying? But the only reason that I'm saying that I beg to differ is because when Larenzo says that to subscribe to atheism, it requires more faith. I don't want a believer to think that's a good excuse to hang on to their construct, to their God that they have been taught, because that's absolutely not wise, right? To just say, okay, because it takes more faith, so forth and so on, to be atheist, I'm going to believe in my God. And I'm not atheist. Let me just say that, guys. I'm agnostic, okay? I would not subscribe to God by way of an identity with a name and a freaking birthday and a death date until that joker speaks to me. I even have a template. If you come up to me, you're going to be mad if you want me to believe in your specific God. I'm telling you now, you're not going to get through to me, because you're probably going to leave not believing in your own. And like Larenzo said, you cannot use your belief in a God to try to convince someone else to submitting to the God you believe in, because it's just impossible to prove that your physical God that you came up with exists. You see what I'm saying? We look at the world and we say, we're observers. Of course, there's more to know, but I don't think Larenzo would argue with the fact that, hey, I actually know that I see the world as being, I guess, a creator or God created, because I know the idea was first dropped in my head. It doesn't make it untrue, but it's also doesn't make it true either, right? I mean, would I be out of the way for saying that, Larenzo? Thanks, Sean.
No, you wouldn't be out the way, right? But y'all just don't know, family. I've been waiting for an opportunity to argue with Kevin.
Oh, Lord have mercy. They don't believe I believe in Jesus, guys.
Right.
I just said, Lord have mercy. I hope they don't think that. My bad. Go ahead.
let me express this a little more clearly here. See, what I mean by when I say that.
Hey, hold on. Lorenzo, hang on. 1 second, Lorenzo. It's freezing. Just hang on 1 second.
Oh,
All right.
sure.
Say testing
I
a
think-
couple times. Let me see if it's straight.
Say what a couple times?
Like testing or something like. Oh, you good? I think you good. Go ahead now.
All right. Getting ready to argue with Kevin here. Waiting on this one. So, you know what we was gonna disagree about, but we had to find something that I'm itching for. So here's let me be clear. Let me be a little bit clear, and hopefully my clarity won't cause us to agree, though. In a sense, I don't want us to agree. So here's the deal. When I say, I'm laughing, Josh. So when I say that it takes more faith to be an atheist, it's not comparable to an atheist versus a Christian or Muslim or Jew or anybody who believes in this categorized version of God that has emotions and has names and only spoke to, you know, two, three people at a time when there was a whole world in its existence. What I'm talking about is that it takes more faith to believe that there is not intelligent design behind all the laws of nature. That the intelligent design is that what's in the box is not a God per se, a Yahweh, Jehovah, not anything, no Ishtars and all those, no Enlils and Inkies, that not those, that no Allah is in there in the box. But what's in the box is just the natural universal laws that govern the universe that were initiated by some intelligent design. That the idea that that you plant a seed, it germinates, it grows into a tree and produces fruit that also have seed that can germinate and create a grove, that is an intelligent design, and to have the right number of animals and the right number of insects and the right number of carnivores and predators and all those, to have everything so perfectly matched up, works on natural law that can be proven by science, that an intelligence had to be that, and some intelligence is behind that compared to just no intelligence whatsoever, that it was all just the right meteors were hitting the right ball in the perfect spot for the earth just happened to be in the right spot over time for life to exist and all that stuff. That's my comparison of an atheist taking more faith than a person who just looks at what natural law and an intelligence.
That was actually beautiful, man. I'm sorry, but I can't disagree with that. I mean, listen, man. I'm sorry, Lorenzo. Like, again, if people look at what you said and they just stop where you said it takes more faith to not believe than to believe, they will make that jump. But what you just did is you took that jump away. Obviously, what you're saying, it takes more faith than it does. It takes more faith to subscribe to the belief in characters as God that you've been given to be atheist. Now, if that's what you're saying, I agree. Now, if you're saying it takes more faith to believe in atheism than intelligent design, I would also agree, because there is clear that there's evidence that there's intelligent design. So I would be a fool to say that there wasn't intelligent design. So I do agree with you. I'm sorry, Lorenzo. I know you like to argue, but
you ruined my night.
Sorry, man. What you want me to do? I'm not prideful. I'm not prideful. Hey.
Let an atheist chime in for a second.
Come on, Josh.
So, I mean, because I don't want the show to go too long, but I guess so. If we acknowledge intelligent design, are we going to acknowledge unintelligent design, where species like didn't get to make it, like they're basically extinct, or are we going to talk about the flaws? Is that just a one-sided argument in this sense? We're going to acknowledge the good and not the bad intelligent design.
No, Joshua. No.
Okay.
Clickmaster. No, Clickmaster. You see, in the intelligent design, there is the flaw. There is what you are calling flaws, and there is the extinction of certain things, and because conditions change, the conditions of the earth changes, or the conditions of the environment changes, to which certain species or animals can no longer exist. Let's just look at man, for instance. Man, with his higher realm of thinking, also extinguishes life of other animals because we overhunt or we live in areas that we have no business living in. We change the environment, but even beyond that, when there are ice ages and there were droughts and there were things like that going on, then that created extinction level events. A meteorite coming and hitting the planet, the meteorite didn't come to Earth because some God pushed it or some intelligent design pushed it. When everything just gets with gravity and torque and centrifugal force and elliptical, all that stuff happens. It's just it's only a matter of time before we get hit by another asteroid. It's only a matter of time before something else cataclysmic happen on the planet. I mean, the tectonic plates are constantly moving, so it's only a matter of time before California falls into the ocean. You know,
Right.
Atlanta has started having more earthquakes because we do sit on a fault line. That's just the nature of it. Now, if we build cities on top of that and we get killed, that's just nature. We just happen to be there. So, in what's called flaws are not flaws. They're all part of that design. You know, if we overpopulating this earth, the earth will fight back to preserve itself because the earth is a living organism and it will fight back to say that, hey, you're using too much resources. There's too much pollution in the air. It will fight back, you know, to preserve itself. And that's why other animals or whatever go out of existence, because Darwin was right in his thought process of the strong survive. And the strong is not necessarily strong in muscle, but the ones who can
Survive.
have strength to live through whatever changes occur in their environment.
Survival, right?
Exactly.
All right. Okay, so in that aspect we agree, but my thing is, it's usually like the Christian argument as far as no, I'm getting two edges to the sword. So if we say, this, there is evolution and this, we acknowledge at least this aspect of it, the strong survive and things like that. I guess my thing is, do we want to say the world is so beautiful and things happen to go so way that we can live as humans, and then we say, a God exists? Like, it's kind of like the God of the gaps argument. Like, yeah, the world is amazing, the universe is beautiful, and flowers and the sun, and we can breathe, we have carbon in our bodies and all this stuff. But do we have to say a designer is behind it all, or any kind of? I guess because when we say intelligent design, makes it seem like somebody constructed the universe. And it's like,
Josh, I completely agree. Somebody just asked, so you're saying there's evidence for intelligent design? And I was like, why did I say intelligent? I meant to just say, and I didn't say intelligent really or design. I'd rather say pattern, like things like what they call the Fibonacci swirl, because that design was given to a man with the last name Fibonacci because he stole it from other people. But needless to say, this design is all over the planet. I think that's pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat that a tree's right. I think it's pretty neat that a tree's roots will move to find water. But at the same time, I think that we should learn why that happens and not jump to the conclusion that there is a God or anything making it. Because we could actually, at the end of the day, actually find out that everything is conscious. Everything. Maybe it's not a God making the tree's roots search for water. Maybe the tree is searching for water. I mean, just because you can't find a brain in it, right? It doesn't mean that it necessarily uses a brain, because our brain fires off neurons and signals, in the form of that. So we're human. It would seem a little different, but I mean, we see plants do amazing things. They follow the sunlight. Why do they do that? So I mean, it doesn't mean that there's a God. It just means that we don't know why it does it. So we're learning, right?
Right, and you have to. You guys got to remember. For me, I study Hermetism. I'm a Hermeticist. I study from the school of Akhenaten, and I study a lot of ancient mysteries that I prescribe to. And one of those is that all things are mental. Everything is mental. That all is mind. That all is consciousness. Whereas most people will look at, a plant and not think that a plant has a certain level of consciousness. Well, yes, it's called having the plant mind, or minerals have the mineral mind. And in all levels of consciousness, there are things that attract it, things that repel it, things that it searches out, that it's attracted to, things it's repelled from. So whether we understand it fully or not doesn't really matter, because it'll be like us trying to understand the infiniteness of the universe and all the laws and how everything works and how all this came together and functions together and works together. That would be like a dog trying to understand the human experience. It just can't, because its consciousness is only the consciousness of a dog, or a cat's a cat, and a dolphin is a dolphin. And a plant is a plant. That's the level of their consciousness. They can't understand the human condition. Just like as much as they understand the existence of a dog, the dog may show emotions that are similar to humans, but we really don't know what the consciousness of that animal is. Just like we really don't know what the consciousness of dark matter is. Dark matter is something that scientists is baffled by. And we don't understand how it works and how it functions. Now we start to figure out a few things. Newton started to figure out a few things about gravity. Pythagoras started to figure out a few things about math. But as they figure things out, their consciousness rises as we figure it out. And so, I mean, 100 years from now, what else will we know that we don't know today, that we don't understand? Kind of like Kevin talking about magic. Things that we don't understand fully how it happened. In 100 years or 1,000 years, we may master dark matter and how it functions, how it works. It may create a new source of energy, a new whatever it
and
does.
fully be able to explain it. It won't be so ambiguous and like, and out of this world anymore. It'll be like, oh, wow, that's actually pretty simple,
Exactly.
That's actually how the world works.
So when we think about that, like, I work with energy a lot. There are people who understand that at a deeper level than most people do. And a lot of people say it, I feel your energy, I feel your vibration, I get into your frequency, that sort of thing. But if they really try to master it, you look at the results of their life and they're really not mastering. They're really not even working with it. They're kind of just saying stuff, right? So when we talk about the consciousness, the universal consciousness, that's what I'm saying as far as a universal mind and a universal intelligence. It is not an individual being that I'm speaking of. It is not anything like that, but it's just the consciousness, the totality of consciousness of the entire universe working together in concert with one another, attracting and repelling, reaching out and pushing away of everything in the universe is what I mean. And we see it on every level. I mean, racism is basically the conscious level of man seeing, melanated people against non-melanated people. And, the Native Americans, the Hopi Indians tried to tell us about this when they called the Caucasians fire people and the Africans earth, water people, and their land people, and the Asians are air people. And, they can either work together to build, or they work against one another, or they're mortal enemies towards one another. Fire and water can either work together to nurture and build things, or it can destroy each other, one or the other. Well, one's going to get destroyed over the other if they're enemies towards each other. And that's a consciousness. That all comes down to a consciousness of people and how we come as a group consciousness. And we fall into those group consciousness and act out our lives and accordingly. So when you look at,
I was going to say this right here. I think, the simple fact is we see the world through our eyes and our eyes only, right? What we seeing is brought into our brain and registered. And that's what our mind interprets as what we see. But there's so much more to the world than what you see. Like, for instance, the human body is absolutely amazing. Your DNA has more information than is held within the entire world. Did you know that? The DNA within your body actually contains more information than we have outside of your one human body. There's more information in your body than it is that's outside of it. Some of the cells in your body are not based on your consciousness. You don't have to think about healing your scars. It just happens. You don't have to think about any of the things that go on in your body. They just happen. So again, you could simply just be the vehicle. The DNA in you, or the cells in you, could actually be what's controlling everything. We literally have no control over these things. That's why I look at life and I say it's absolutely just amazing. And that's why we cannot jump to conclusions, because the world is just so marvelous that you'd be a fool to even try to jump to a conclusion and act like you know it. I said once in a video that an ant cannot tell by what little falls down into its mound what the world is like, right? How can an ant tell you what the world is like from its mound, right? It can't be everywhere. It's only saw that one perspective. And if the ant has been everywhere, it still can't tell you what the world is like to a human, right? And so you got, if a black man makes a God black and a white man makes a God white, so forth and so on, then that would mean that inside of a bull's head, God is a bull, right? This is how it would go. So every single creature, when they look around the world and can't understand it, they're going to create a being that is themselves who is responsible for what they don't personally understand. I think that instead of doing that, we could just take a step back and just agree that the world is a beautiful place that we do not understand. This way, you don't have to subscribe to the ideas of a God with rules, because again, so many people accept the idea that there must be a God because we have life unexplained. But what does that mean? Now you have to trust in the construct of God that you were given, and now you have to obey rules given to you by this God. Again, we look at the world now as totally separate from that. Well, the universe never gave anybody rules, right? In terms of this, and that, and go to heaven, right? But this is the idea that we've been taught, and I think that's honestly why the God concept is so hard fought and honestly so misunderstood, because people's idea of this word that was created is simply just different, and there's really no way to convey that without using cryptic language that another person would take as that's wrong, and or mystical language. If I use the word God, of course, I didn't use the word Yahweh, I didn't use the word Jesus or anything. But if I say I want to thank God, the people who heard me say God who are Christians, they think I'm talking to their God. If you're a Muslim, you think I'm talking, like there was a video, man, Dark Matter did it. Guy walks up to another guy and he tells him that he should believe in God. And the other guy, he didn't see any reason why he should believe in God. All of a sudden, another guy comes in and say, no, he's right, man. You absolutely should believe in God. God is the greatest, right? Another guy comes in and says, yeah, man, trust me, man. God is absolutely awesome. Until one of those guys says who their God is. And all of a sudden, all the people who are raving about there being a God and how awesome it is to have one, they start arguing and fighting amongst each other. Because they were okay as long as the other one was just using that mystical, cryptic language, God, right? But as soon as you give this joker a name, a birthday, and a death date, we got a problem. I am more than okay with someone saying there's more to the world than what we know. They may even be a designer. I'm okay with that. But when you sit here telling me that this person, this designer, this creator asks you for money, tells you to live a certain way, think a certain way, or you're going to hell, all this kind of crazy stuff, then I have a problem with that. And I'm going to ask you to prove it. And you're going to have to be able to prove that this person who you saying created the world, created the universe, and that he spoke to you. And you're going to have a hard time proving that crap, because it just isn't true. So what we understand is that the world can be beautiful when you remove books from it, or religious books from it, I should say.
It is. And that's why, you'll see people, some people are doing it for marketing and making money, while other people are doing it because they truly are illuminated in this idea of what you were just saying.
Hang on, Lorenzo. Somebody trying to be funny and skew our words. Hang on. A while ago, Lorenzo said that the universe has universal laws, and I just said that the universe did not give us rules in terms of do not do this, do not do that. True ID Podcast is changing all the words up, so I just wanted to make it clear that I'm saying that the universe didn't give us 10 commandments, all right, and they hell or heaven. So just to make that crystal clear, gravity is totally different from obey me or burn in hell. All right.
Exactly. Thank you, because cause and effect happens. You can't avoid cause and effect. That's why it's law. Law cannot be broken. Our constitutional laws, you break them damn things all the time because they're not laws, they're rules, right? The commandments, the 10 commandments, those are rules because you break them. A law is something that cannot be broken. You can't break the law of cause and effect. If for every cause there is an effect, and for every effect there is a cause, it cannot be broken at all. That's the difference. It's not something that's codified in somebody's book. That's just science. That's just the way it works, Now, shit, that got me mad. I lost track of what I was about to fuss at.
But someone says that I never think that non-believers are talking about my God. Well, 9 times out of 10, non-believers, if they talk about God in this demographic, they are talking about your God. Now, what we're talking about is believers talking about your God. If someone says, first of all, I want to thank God, the general consensus of this demographic is going to think that they're talking about their personal God. That's what they're going to think. I mean, I know you're not denying that. I know you're about to sit here arguing me over some stupid stuff right now. We grown.
Oh, and the other part that before I lost my train of thought there was the fact that, you'll have people, some of the speakers will be out there and they'll say, the universe or God or whatever you call it, right? Now, when they're they're saying that because they know they're in a mixed crowd. And they know if they were to specifically say one particular God, that if they're trying to get you to buy their books or CDs or do their program, they're going to lose a portion of their audience because they're going to say, oh, you prescribe to this guy. So even though I just sit here and listen to you talk about how to make more money, and even though everything you might have said is sound, or I just listen to you talking about how to have a great relationship with my spouse and everything you might have said was sound, as soon as you prescribed it to your one God, now I can't listen to you. So the speaker will just say, the universe, absolutely, God, what you call him. Now, somebody who's just truly illuminated, they would understand that people are captured in their boxes. And if I want them to hear the purity of my message, I got to just put the info out there and then allow them to find it within their box of how it fits in their line. You know, oftentimes when people are debating me and I give them like that much debate time, I'll just express that, look, I'm expressing this, but it's for you to put it in your box, make it fit for however you believe, because what I can tell you is that within all your little religions, you're going to find it. You're going to find what I'm telling you. You know, if you're in a relationship and you're having a hard time with your spouse and you're not showing them love, you can go find it in your book, you know, one way or another. But I know my information is sound. And if I'm telling you how to make money, I know my information is sound. Go find it in your book. Everybody can find it in their little box. So a smart person, an illuminated person, would just leave it to them to put it into their own way and their own terms. But then it's like I said, as soon as you label it, though, that's when the fight happens. That's why, you know, religion causes so many problems, because as soon as somebody is outside of your little code, now you want to fight. Now you want to argue. Now you're going to have all these, like, you want to just pick and pull every little point that you can find just so you can be right.
Somebody just said that every time they remove the Bible from society, millions die. What? What are you talking? When? Where? What are you talking about? When did that? They removed the Bible from society? Moved a Bible from society? What?
Millions.
Millions? Millions? I just want to know one scenario where millions died. Like, just give me that. Like, you're talking about some, like, no, I didn't even name who it was, bro. I just said somebody said now. Matter of fact, let me tell you this right here before we go, because we about to wrap this up. Check this out, Larenzo. Let me read this to y'all, because I'm going to make a short video about it real quick. This is the bomb. I've never seen nothing like this. So you know apologetics, right? They like to make up excuses, right, for God or whatever. Check this out. Someone just said to me, our Father is pure love. He does not threaten us with fire to get us to love him. No, he doesn't. He would never flood the planet. Satan wrote that. Look, God would never flood the planet. Satan writes this stuff, and he does have the power to create seasons. Our Father is doing the best he can to keep us safe. So wait a second. Your Father created the universe with a freaking word, but he's trying his best to keep you safe. His best? Hang on, let me finish. Hang on. Our Father is doing his best to keep us safe. You can help him by staying sober and eating right. Satan will have less control over you, and you will feel less pain. That's what he's saying. But so now the world didn't actually flood, but the reason that's in there is because Satan wrote it in there. That's hilarious to me. It's like, I've heard it all, man. I've literally heard it all.
Somebody actually wrote that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a whole video on, it was just like a little short 2-minute video, just on how crazy that is to me. It's just hilarious. He said God was trying his best to keep us safe. I didn't know he had a best. I didn't think he ever had to try. I thought he was limitless.
But see, that's just idiotic. And I understand what you're saying, because the way some of the thought processes, and I know Josh, don't even get mad. I'ma just say it. See, this is Alton be killing me, but see, the reason why I bring up Alton, because he thinks like Christians think a lot. He sit up here talking about something. The USSR killed millions of people trying to keep them away from Christianity. So, what about the millions upon millions that were killed to force over to Christianity?
Yeah.
What? See, it's that one-sided purview of it, that one-sided perspective that kind of just nullifies and makes it seem like half your brain is dead.
Tell them read about the origin of St. Patty's Day, where they chased off millions of people, killed millions of people to keep Christianity alive.
Killed them. Because the snakes will represent the Africanized people who were in their area and that they killed. All the Native Americans who were murdered and killed here. All the Africans who were killed and murdered over pushing them into a religion that they didn't ask for. Nobody said, hey, you know what? I'm sitting here chilling, minding my own damn business. But you know what? I need you to come and point a sword at my neck so that I can, convert over. And if I don't, just kill me and stab me. You know, and the Muslims did the same thing. Other religions did the same thing, and that's the problem.
That's like saying every cultural people who were held down solely because of their religion, that makes their religion now true. So Hitler killing Jews makes the Jewish religion true now because they were Jew and he was trying to squash out or exterminate a religion. So now, because they were attacked for being Jewish, the Jewish doctrine now is now true because it was attacked. But not Jews, just when Christians are attacked. Christians is true, right? And it's crazy because so many Islamic people have been attacked for being Islamic, right? Whenever Islamic people enslaved Africans, they had to kill out what Africans believed in their actual belief system. So does that make their belief system true because the Islamic people took it from them? You see what I'm saying? Like, so many cultures of people have been targeted because of their religion, because again, religious wars. People don't want you believing in other gods. If I'm going to take your land, I got to take your God too. I mean, this is just how wars work and how colonization work, and we know this. So you can't assume by being colonized, the God of the colonizee is real. It's just crazy.
That's how it had to work. I mean, that's how Vespasian was to do the Jewish revolt, is that he had to take their Judaism away and convert it into a more docile version of Judaism, which later became Christianity. But so, I mean, you had to take the religion. That's how Vespasian destroyed the Druids, by taking away their religion as he took away their lives. If you take away the religion that allows you to think that you are divinely supported to overthrow your oppressor, then it doesn't work. Now, for what happened with Black people in America, it was, we're going to take your religion, but then we're going to give you one that makes you subservient to us and make you believe that you are supposed to be subservient. Now, after slavery, that lesson was still taught, and that lesson was taught to white people and every other people, so that those who are in power can maintain their control over everybody else. We see it every Sunday in a church. Pastors do whatever they want to do, and people keep following them. Priests molest kids, they keep following. Imams do whatever they want to do, and they keep on following, because they got the people in a subservient position. Just like you were saying earlier about keeping them as sheep. That crazy church in Africa where them people were following around the pastor back on their hands and knees, keeping them in a sheep mentality. It's all a form of control and slavery, because the moment you start thinking for yourself, then you start realizing that you don't need that person. You don't have to follow that person, that you have your own mind, that you like Pharoah said, you got neurons and firing in your head all the time, bringing you new information. The more and more you come to understand who you really are, and not, or somebody messed that up, not who you really are as a Black man or anything like that, just who you really are, period, as a being, who you really are. Absolutely. as energy, like
you cannot be defined. I told someone earlier, if someone asked you who you were truly, you could not define yourself, because you personally are not Larenzo. That's a name you were given to describe you. You were called Larenzo, but to say you're Larenzo is freaking ridiculous. That's an understatement of who you actually are. It'd be hard for you to even define. You don't even know you yet. You see what I'm saying? We still getting to know ourselves, so you'd be impossible to define.
And in the Bible, it tells you what you should be saying if somebody asks you. If Kevin was to say, "Who are you?" all I should say is, "I am."
Right.
That's who I am. I am. But of course, that's blasphemy. You're equating yourself with God. No, it's just that I am. Whatever I choose that I am is what I am. How I think, what I want, I just am.
If you think of it this way, take what you know and what you don't know. Is there more that you don't know than what you do? I think we all can agree, right? Yes, right? There's a lot more that I don't know than what I do. I know only a small fraction of what there is to know, right? I think that's safe. So my thing is this: if you're going to subscribe your identity to what you do know, your potential mind becomes limited, because you've subscribed your identity to what you know. So now you Black. You a male if you have a penis. So this means you have to have a deep voice or act a certain way. You have to act a certain way because you Black. You got to get mad at certain words now because you Black. All this crazy stuff, right? But you got to think on a larger scale than that. What is it that you don't know? If you say, you know what, I would rather, exist in the realm of I don't know, then your knowledge becomes, your brain becomes unlimited, because you don't have subscriptions now to your identity to information. So now when you hear information, you don't have to refute it because it disagrees with your identity. I once said that I'm surrounded by, in a song, okay, I said I'm surrounded by faux pas. From my deadbeat daddy to the founding fathers, the faux pas had me praying to Sky Daddy, learned there was no God, so I guess that makes Yahweh, another faux pas. My life's a joke. I learned when I would smoke from the burning bush, when I inhaled, that I could be the Most High, right? Now, I learned when I would smoke from the burning bush, when I inhaled, that I could be the Most high. I learned that I could be the most high myself, that I am my higher self. I am the voice that I hear in my head, not Yahweh. I have always been the voice I've heard in my head. I just was attributing it to someone else. You see what I'm saying? And that's what people don't really understand. It's like the voice you hear in your head, who is it? Who's listening to that voice? How do you hear it? Right? There's so much more to yourself. You can hear the voice in your head without using your mouth. You can see the images in your head without opening your eyes. We have to understand it's just more to life we don't know. Man, we have a brain that's actually rather small in comparison to our bodies, but it's actually so huge in what it can do, and we don't even understand that yet. Science doesn't even understand that yet. So just understand there's more to learn than what you already know, and do not subscribe to what you already know. Just look at it as information and move on, man, because if you're going to be a true learner in this world, we get presented with new information. What a scientist says today is fact. It may not be true in light of new information. So if they say the oldest information that we have on Noah's Ark is the Atra Hasis, right? Then, or the Zoroastrian information, man, 1,000 years from now, 500, tomorrow, someone can find an older document, and then we'd have to accept that. But if you subscribe your identity to the fact that, you know, the Atra Hasis or Zoroastrianism has the oldest documentation of that, then you're going to be mad when you hear it and feel like it's got to be wrong, because I have already said out loud that Zoroastrianism was the oldest. Well, who cares what you said out loud, man? You don't make the rules. All you can do is go off for what you have learned. Stop subscribing yourself to information. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to admit you're wrong when you're wrong. It's just, this idea is just ridiculous that I am what I know. You're not who you're not what you know, unless you want to be. And in that case, you actually become rather limited, I would say. I don't want to use the word dumb, but you've now closed your brain by assuming you know it all, like God. Think about it. God can't learn because he think he know everything. How can you think you know everything? Because if there's something that you don't know, you wouldn't know you didn't know it. So it's just an arrogant thing to say.
Right.
If you're a God, how you know it ain't no more of them? Honestly, if you a God and you can create everything, how do you know you're the only one? How you know that? You see what I'm saying? But I'm just going to say I'm the only one and don't put no other ones before me. It's just, the literature is crazy, and it's made us crazy, to be honest with you.
You know, that sounds like Dark Matter's video when he did, like, when God made his God and then the God made their God.
Oh, that was actually profound. That was actually profound, man.
It was. That just, and like I said, you
right,
don't know what you don't.
Right, you don't know what you don't know.
And because I don't know what I don't know, I am what I don't know, because I'm always learning, I'm always searching, I'm always coming into new understandings. And it'll always be, because I'll never know it all. And anybody who ever claims that they know, that they just know, then I call you a fool. You know, so, and if you're a fool, then you're just a fool, and you'll live and die a fool. And now I'm going to be like Josh and say that we're going to go ahead and close out this show.
Yeah.
So Kevin, do you have anything else you want to say to the people before we close out this show?
You know, actually, I'm going to reiterate the event that myself and Larenzo would have coming up on the 21st. Again, if you do spoken word, poetry, sing, dance, anything like that, let me know so we can have you put on the card so you can come and display your talents and showcase and sharpen your gifts, because we know that the church has taken that from you when you leave the church. When you're in church, you have a place for your child to go sing in the choir and do all these things. Now, the 21st event, let me just say, you have to be 21, because this is a lounge that drinking will be allowed there. So this will be a grown-up event this time. However, me and Lorenzo are looking into doing youth events the same place. They just lock the stuff away. We do it at an earlier time. So just keep that in mind. 21 and older this time. Make sure you send me your information. If I haven't responded by the first week of April, send that information to Lorenzo, because I may be bombarded with this information. I promise you, he'll get it to me. He will not let it go through the cracks. We're going to work together to make sure we give you guys the best event possible for showcasing your gifts. It'll be live recorded. We're going to try to do what we can to help the people who walked away from religion to really be able to get out here and exercise their gifts, all right? Because most of us didn't do the things we enjoyed doing because we was trying to do them for God, honestly. And we still have this fire inside of us for our gifts and to spread a message via those gifts, talents, or whatever. So come on out, keep your eyes open. Right now, I'm looking for the Apache Lounge. That's the spot right now. If it's not that one, I will let you guys know soon. But the 21st is the date that Lorenzo and myself has planned for this event. Right, Lorenzo?
That's right. Josh, do you have anything before we let the people go?
My brain's kind of fried, so no, not really.
Josh's brain's kind of fried, and I just want to thank everybody for joining us on Kevin's show that I'm taking over the last part of it, and I appreciate all the comments and everybody participating, everybody who donated for the cause, because we know that we're looking to feed people as well as make this thing work. So I appreciate everybody for being here, and I'm going to end with my quote that I always say: you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable.
I like that. And I'm gonna come off of that and free yourself to be the evolution, be the change you want to see. All right, and no candle loses its flame by lighting another.
You had your last.
I gotta say, be the evolution, be the change you want to see. That's my stuff, Larenzo. Now you can't take that from me.
So, this is not your. No, just kidding.
Listen, you see my eyes like, okay, I'm not gonna argue with you, but okay, nah. All right, that's it, guys. We love everybody. Matter of fact, Larenzo, you do it. You take us away, brother. Thank you, Mindful.
Y'all, see y'all later next week. Deuces.
Peace.
In peace. Join in unity. I just learned that from Kevin.
You cut it off, Josh.
Hang it up.
You can hang it up. I can't.
I don't even know how to do the thing.
Are we off, right? I'm still throwing up peace signs. I don't know what's going on.
I told you how to end it, but it's